Hello everyone. Welcome to Pokemon Black. We're gonna be we're gonna see how things are gonna go. It should be an interesting one, all the same. Before we get started, we're gonna do an RNG manipulation right at the start, so things are gonna be a little bit. I'm gonna have to focus on that a little bit. Hopefully, we'll get it first try. Most of my practice runs, I got it first try. But that does mean that I'm going to be closing the trainer name incentive right away before I start the manip, and then we'll start. The Tepic will be cut off about 3 to 4 minutes in. It'll be at the end of the second rival fight. You'll see. I'll mention it when it is. So, Pollister, do tell me what ended up winning the bid war, because I think it was quite a bit of back and forth there.
Yes, it was quite a bit of back and forth, actually. So what we have right now is $12 from Kainalo saying Psyops again, and he put $6 to Psyops being the Tepic name and the trainer name, so that was an even split. We then had $6 from Team Rocket Boss saying Giovanni, putting Giovanni in the lead once again. Then we had $20 from Nordic Soy, our next donation reader, saying, "Love to all my ESA peeps, I wanna be Tepig," and he now takes the lead as the Tepig name. And then KitKat with his $5, as he promised. "Here's to all my unintentional deaths," and he names the Tepig name Groose. Let me see if there's one more. Yes, there is. Just in time, we have another $5 donation from Kainalo, again saying Psyops, and right at the very last minute, taking the lead. So your trainer name is going to be Psyops.
Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna quickly refresh the thing, make sure that I spell that correctly, and then we're gonna get started. Okay, kitty cat. There we go. Okay. So the timer will start about 10 seconds after I press A here. That's because of the manipulation. You'll hear some ticking down because the game itself will tick down 5 times in the last 2 seconds. That's just to help me time this, and then we're going to get started. So if you guys are ready, we're starting in about 10 seconds or so. Let me... So right away, we're going to start off with an RNG manip. Okay, so far so good. There is a chance that we don't get it. I practiced it a little bit earlier. I got it second try. I practiced it a bunch yesterday. Usually I got it first or second try. But this is to manipulate a starter with an adamant nature, which is plus attack minus special attack, and 30 or 31 IVs on every stat. I'll explain what that means in a moment. So we'll see how it goes. I'll take the boy here. Okay, we'll know pretty quickly if we got it or not. That's not it. So this happens. This is pretty normal. We're just going to try it again. There's essentially 3 values that we can get there. I'll explain in a moment how I know which one I get. Okay, so essentially, after we input the name, you see the entire thing of it creating the save file, and there's a little clock on the bottom right of that. Depending on which timer 0 we hit, the clock will point into a slightly different direction. There is either all the way left, left up, or up right. Those are the 3 values that I tend to hit. We hit up left this time. I want to have all the way left. This is the most common one for me to hit if I don't actually get it, so... Okay. Number 2. Yep, this is it. We got it second try. That's pretty okay. I can take that. So right now, I already know exactly what my starter is going to be like. We're going to have a Tepig with an Adamant nature, which is the nature that I want. We want either Adamant or Naughty at all times, because we need that plus attack. And then we're going to have 30 IV on every stat except speed and special defense, which are 31. We have a little bit of text we have to work through here as we get introduced to our two rivals, Bianca and Cheren. And we've received a gift from the professor, which is, right here there's a box with the 3 starters. First though, we're going to do some settings. And then once that's done, one step down, and let's pick up our Tepig. So this will confirm to us that we did indeed hit the RNG minute. We're not going to get to name the Tepig right away. That'll be once we actually meet the professor, which will be in a few minutes. But first we have to do 2 more battles. So these 2 battles are the last 2 fights that we get to do until we close off the incentive. Once I beat Cheren, which is the second of these 2 fights, that's when we're closing it off.
Good to know. I'll close it accordingly.
That should give you enough time afterwards to refresh the page, make sure you got everything right.
Excellent.
Okay, so these 2 fights are fairly straightforward. Okay, we've got 23 HP. That's another indication that we did indeed hit it. That stat looks correct. The Snivy is going to be a 4-hit KO. So this is this usually takes a few turns to go down, but it's not too bad. We barely don't level. That's okay though. And our entire room gets trashed as a result of us battling inside. Maybe that's not such a smart idea to do. Okay, now that we've beaten Bianca though, Cheren's gonna heal both of our Pokemon, and we're gonna fight Cheren. Because, the room hasn't been destroyed enough already, so we're just gonna do another battle like that. Now Cheren will have Oshawott, which isn't honestly very different in how this fight is gonna go. This fight looks very much like the last one. Now we can get lucky and get a few crits with Tackle, which could save some turns, but honestly, it doesn't matter too much if it doesn't. Now, before we actually head to the professor, let me explain a little bit about the RNG manipulation that we just did. So I've already mentioned we just RNG manipulated all of our stats, and essentially what we do is as we boot up the game, the second that we boot up the game kind of determines what our RNG value is going to be like. But there is a second thing as well. As the game is booting up, it matters which buttons I have pressed. So for my manipulation, I boot up the game on, 16th of August 2071 at like 8:50 p.m. And then I need to keep the down button pressed. Now this manipulation isn't the same for everyone. In fact, it is different for every single runner because the RNG manip is dependent in part on the MAC address of your DS. So every DS will have a different RNG manip. We're closing off the Tepig name, by the way.
I have already done that.
Fantastic. Do tell, what is the Tepig name?
Well, the Tepig name is going to be Nordic. Nordic.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, with that RNG manip, I make sure that we have the perfect stats that I need for this run. But I can actually do a little bit more than that. Over this first part of the game, you'll see me do some very specific movement, and that is in order to manipulate getting no encounters on the first route. This saves on average like 20-ish seconds. It's not that big, because after the first route, we can't actually RNG manipulate anymore. I'll explain why when it happens. Okay, so Nordic, you said?
That is correct.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, here from the professor we're going to get the Pokédex. It's not like we're going to collect a whole lot of Pokemon for her, but we're going to get it anyway. We'll just use that. We kind of need to. And then she's going to tell us to meet her on Route 1, and she's going to explain us how to catch Pokemon. Now, this Pokemon catching scene is completely scripted. So much so that even if you were to randomize all the Pokemon, it would still play out exactly the same. She'd send out the same Pokemon, there'd be a different Pokemon you'd be facing. Like, everything is the same. The damage ranges, she can't crit. One reason that could have been done in later generations in general is because in Gen 3, there was actually a chance that during the catching tutorial, the trainer would, or like Wally, would crit the Pokemon twice and would just defeat it instead. And that would still count as catching because, you know, the fight ended. Doesn't quite work that way. Okay, anyway, we took our first steps on Route 1. Super exciting, of course. And then we're going to get this catching tutorial, which is basically just a cutscene. So, Paulister, if you have more donations to talk about, or if you want to talk about anything else, now is your chance.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching ESA Together. We truly appreciate all the support you're giving with donations, subscriptions, and cheers. But if you can't support us directly, I get that, make sure to tell all your friends about us. ESA puts on 2 massive speedrunning events per year. We want everyone to be able to experience how amazing they are. And I think, Crrool, you can attest to that, of course.
Oh yeah, I can. It's always a lot of fun to attend ESA.
Definitely.
Okay, so now that we've done the catching tutorial, we're going to see a bit of weird movement. This is all intended. And if I do everything correctly, and if I haven't made any mistakes so far, we will not be getting any encounters at all on Route 1. Which is kind of funny because the rivals challenge you to they give you a challenge to see who can catch the most Pokemon on this first route. Whoever has the most by the end of the route wins. But we're just not going to see any encounters, so how will we have caught anything, right? Okay, there we go. So I basically just walk back into the town and then just go up. This happened to work, except apparently I've messed up somewhere along the way. And that's unfortunate. This doesn't matter too much. As long as our starter stats are correct, the rest isn't too relevant. The idea is that if I do everything correctly, I can just walk down, walk back up, and I'll always get 0 encounters. We got 1, so we lose a little bit of time, but it's not too bad. Now, this cutscene here is kind of important. Earlier we got the X-Transceiver, which is basically sort of like your cell phone. And the problem with RNG manipulating past that first bit is that during an X-Transceiver cutscene like that, the RNG advances every single frame. And since the game plays at 60 frames per second, that's going to be a bit of a problem. So because of that, we can't actually manipulate past that first route, because we'd have to go through that cutscene frame perfect. And there is a second cutscene like it that's coming up in like 2 minutes or something, like right after the next trainer battle, which is another one of those X-Transceiver cutscenes. So essentially you'd have to mash through those 2 cutscenes frame perfect in order to still be on manipulation. So that's not humanly doable. So we get the explanation here of how the center works, how the mart works. I mean, I've been playing Pokemon since I was 7, so I think I kind of know what's going on here. We're gonna buy some potions. Those are just for safety later on. And with that, we're going to move on to our sort of third rival. He isn't technically... he's sort of a rival. He's not technically, I think. It's not like Cheren or Bianca. But it is another trainer that we'll be facing off against a lot over the course of this run. But first we get an introduction to Getsis and Team Plasma. Team Plasma are like the evil team of this game. They're all about liberating Pokemon. Getsis is, yeah, he's quite the character. We'll see him a few more times over the course of the run. We will eventually fight him, but it'll be a while before we get to that point. Rather, somebody else who works for Team Plasma will be fighting a lot here is N. And we can kind of, like, usually I tend to kind of consider him as a rival, which is also why, at least in big part, this run is often, in very many ways, considered a rival simulator, because we have, like, I think 15 rival battles over the course of the game or something. It's an insane amount. But yeah, this is N. It's gonna be a pretty easy battle, honestly. He has one Purloin. We're just gonna use Tail Whip and then tackle until he dies. Ideally, after the fight, I want as much health left as possible because we have to do some more trainers later, and I just want to try to avoid having to heal in a lot of situations. So the growl at the start is kind of annoying because it's just going to slow the fight down a bit. We're going to get Ember after this fight, so for later fights I would have been able to use Ember, but for this one that's not an option. So there goes the Purloin. We hit level 7. Get Ember. Honestly, having 18 HP coming out of this fight is generally pretty good. We want to have bare minimum 7 HP, realistically a little bit more, so that we can actually tank some hits from the Pat Rat coming up. But yeah, no, with this health we're completely fine. Another thing we'll constantly be looking at, especially early on, is whether or not we're in Blaze. If Tepig is below 1/3 HP, basically all of our fire moves will get a boost. And there are quite a few situations where that can be helpful. So this is that second X-Transceiver cutscene that I mentioned. Mom is going to call us. And then she's standing right behind us because she has a present for us. And this is a pretty good present, I'd say. She's going to give us the running shoes. So on this route, the encounters we get is completely random. We can't really influence it. On average, I'd say I get about 2 encounters, like 2 to 2.5 encounter. I've seen up to like 5 happen, which is really bad if that happens, but we'll see how things go. Anyway, this is our next trainer, youngster Jimmy. He just has a Pat Rat. Usually takes 3 turns to defeat it unless we get a critical hit. So we're gonna tackle once. Leader here is fine. Okay, he hits us in Blaze here, so this is not a problem at all. We are gonna defeat it. The downside is we're really close to the minimum health that I would normally want to have here. Usually I'd say anything above or anything below 11 would mean I'd have to heal. We have 12, which, I mean, I don't have to heal, but it's a little bit closer than I'd like. Of course we get an encounter on the last tile, that's unfortunate. Still, 2 encounters, that's pretty average. Even with the extra encounter that we got, we're still in pretty decent shape, honestly. And with that, it's time for our next rival battle. This is the 4th one. We're going to fight Bianca again. She now has 2 Pokemon. She has the Lillipup she caught on Route 1, and her Snivy. And both of these are not too difficult. Both are a 2-shot. Now for this entire run, we'll be using Tepig to pretty much get us through anything. And when you think of Gen 5 speedruns, a lot of people tend to often think that we're going to be using an Excadrill at some point, and I'm going to just clear that out now, and I'll probably mention it again at some point. This run does not use Excadrill. It is true that that's used in Gen 5, but that's only in Black and White 2, not in Black and White 1. The two runs are vastly different, and that's definitely one of the bigger differences you'll see. So yeah, we win that fight pretty easy. Bianca's going to go away again, and it's time for us to head into the town with the first gym. We're not going to go to the gym right away, but before anything else, we're going to go into this alley and we're going to get this Dusk Ball. We'll be using that to catch a Woobat later, which is going to be our Fly Slave. And then we're going to move on to the Dream Yard, I think it's called. This patch of forest to the right. Now, the second fight that we're going to do here is actually I think the only optional fight in the entire run that we do, but it is an optional fight that we'll want to do. By doing that one extra optional fight, we save having to catch a Pokemon later, and we can make the next gym significantly safer for us. Okay, so this is now a damage range because we got hit by Growl, but we got it no problem. It's kind of finicky, but I think I'm going to heal. This is a little bit too close in health. Normally, with this health, I would have just continued, but since this is a marathon run, I'm going to play it safe, and we're just going to move on to the next fight. So this is our one optional fight. This is youngster Joey, famous as the short guy in Gen 1, and a trainer that pretty much shows up in every Pokemon game. There's like one or two gens where there isn't a youngster Joey, but I don't know. I always love this guy. He's kind of famous for in Gen 2 always calling you to tell you about his top tier Rattata, and we just see him in every Pokemon, and it's always kind of funny to see him again. So yeah, if I hadn't healed, we would have now been down to 5 HP, which would have made it really close. We would have survived, but it would have been a bit too close for comfort, honestly. Now, the main reason that this is worth doing is if we talk to this guy, we can get a Pansage. Pansage is a Pokemon we'll be using for the first gym, which is... it's really nice that we get a grass-type Pokemon, and the first gym is going to have a water-type Pokemon, so this kind of just works out. And on top of that, Pansage can learn Cut, so I don't actually have to catch a Cut Slave anymore. The combination of those two reasons make it worth it for me to do that one extra optional fight. And then it's to the trainer's school, and we're going to fight our next rival battle. It's time for rival number 5, or, well, our second fight against Cheren. Now, Cheren leads an Oshawott, and this Oshawott can actually be very scary. We make sure we always want to be at least on 25 HP. We have that, no problem. And then we'll see how things go. Now, if we get a crit tackle turn 1, it's possible for me to one-shot him. I think we're going to tackle twice. Normally I would have gone Tail Whip tackle, but because I triggered the berry, this seemed to be the better option here. Okay, tackle and then Ember. Unfortunately, we didn't get the damage range. And with that out of the way, it's now time for us to hit the first gym. So the game mostly plays as any other Pokemon. We're gonna just go through the region, collecting 8 badges. Our goal is to become the champion as fast as possible. So first things first, we've got our first gym here, and this one's kind of an interesting one. The gym here is all about type matchups. Another fun little thing, at the start of every gym we can actually get a freshwater as a free heal item. We're not going to get too many, but in the first 2 gyms we get it for free anyway, so we might as well. Here we just have to select whichever type is super effective against the type on the curtain, and then we can move on. I gotta be a little bit careful here. The Lillipup cannot kill me on turn 1, but it's definitely possible in later turns for it to kill me. So I need to or keep an eye on what he does. Yeah, we're gonna heal that. I'm gonna just use that fresh water, actually. At least that way I don't have to heal for later fights again. Got a really low roll on that first attack, unfortunately, so we needed an extra hit. Level 13, we're going to try to learn Defense Crrool, but that's not going to do us much good, so we're not going to learn it. Okay, second type. Super effective against water. Well, that's the grass type. And on to the next trainer. Even if you get it wrong, by the way, you can just go to the next tile and it'd still be fine, so... Like, honestly, it's just this game's way of kind of showing you how type matchups work. In the sequel to this, Black and White 2, the gym is part of, or is like behind the trainer school, which is another kind of funny one, I think. That's kind of a thing you'll see a lot with this game. A lot of the gyms, they serve more purpose than just being a gym. So the first one, like right here, where it kind of serves to teach you about type matchups, but then later on, the second gym, for example, is going to be a library. And that's just another example of how the gyms are a little bit different. They're not just gyms anymore like they are in earlier gens. Okay, so here we see that this gym actually consists of 3 gym leaders, and the gym leader we face depends on which starter we picked. And since we've picked the fire starter, we're going to face the water gym leader, Cress. All of the gym leaders lead with a Lillipup, and then the second one is one of the 3 elemental monkeys, depending on which starter we got. So since we picked the fire starter, we're going to have Panpour as our second Pokemon, and that's where that Pansage comes in that we just picked up. I don't appreciate that crit. I can work with this though, but I don't. It's not a great crit. We do need the experience on Tepig, so I'm actually just going to switch out like that. Now, Pansage's stats are still random. We're kind of just hoping to have gotten a little bit lucky in having good attack. Yeah, we can go for it. Nice. Very often you deal less than half damage, and that means I would have to do an extra turn either using... how do you say? Either using another Leer or a Lick, depending on how much damage I actually dealt. So we get the TM for Workup. We're actually going to use that later. Workup is a move that boosts both our special attack and our physical attack by 1 stage. So we can kind of use it to not have to use as many X items, because we're going to be short on those over the course of the run anyway. We're going to get one opportunity really early on to buy them, and that's pretty much going to have to last us the entire game. As we come out of the gym, we're going to immediately basically get... well, we're just going to get kidnapped by this scientist. And she's going to give us Cut and send us on a quest to the Dream Yard. Now, this entire sequence, and that's kind of what sort of bugs me. It basically is what unlocks the game sync, which is cool and all, except Nintendo servers are down, so it doesn't actually do anything anymore. I'm gonna heal just for safety again, And then I'm gonna teach cut to our pansage. We really only need 2 HMs over the course of this run. We only need cut and fly. So for fly, we'll catch something else later, and for cut, we already have the pansage. So as we now get a little bit deeper into the dream yard, we hear some sound, and it's coming from this mana. And just as we follow that mana, the mana is gonna get attacked by these 2 Team Plasma grunts. Which means we're gonna fight them, because that's how it's gonna work, right? Well, they're gonna first attack the mana, and it's something about Dream Mist. I don't exactly know what their plan is, but they're gonna start attacking us, and well, you'll see these fights are not difficult, honestly. The first one's pretty easy. We actually have 2 ways of going about this. I can use tackle twice. Or if I'm really short on tackle, I can opt to use tackle and ember. The downside of using tackle and ember is that that's actually a damage range. It's only 65% to kill. So we're not going to go for that. Now the second grunt has a purloin. That just dies to 2 embers. And this is where that experience that I mentioned earlier kind of comes in. After this... Oh, nice crit. That crit saves a turn. After this, we're gonna level to level 15, and that's going to get us Flame Charge, which is our next big move. We're gonna keep Flame Charge for quite a while. I think we only get rid of it around like the 6th gym, basically. So, gonna be quite an important move for us to have. So yeah, and then a bunch of Getsis ghosts sort of come up, and they scare the Team Plasma members away. And then we find out that it was actually a Musharna doing that. You know, they're the dream Pokemon, so... So that's gonna get us this TM. And... or at least I think it's a TM. And then, what's her name? Fennel is going to kidnap us again. Or at least we're like, she's gonna take that item, and that's, I'm not sure if it's a TM now that I think about it. Either way, she's gonna take that item, and we're gonna now have to visit her again, and this is where we get the game sync. Now, probably the most annoying thing about Fennel here is at some point she asks if she needs to explain it, and regardless of what answer we give, she's going to explain it. That's just how it works. We get the Sea Gear. Very important that I say no here, because the Sea Gear turning off takes like 10 seconds and it's really annoying. And then she's just gonna talk for a bit.
While she talks, can I have a minute to talk about one of our upcoming incentives?
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so coming up after this run is going to be Rise and Shine with Etienne, and he has an incentive where if we raise $100, he's going to complete the game at 100%. Currently it's at any percent, so he'll be upgrading it to that. Currently we are at $9 out of 100, so you have about 3-ish hours to get your donations in and see everything that Rise and Shine has to offer.
Okay, so we just finished our bit of shopping there, just getting some heal items for later. And from there we're going to go to this double battle. Now most double battles in the game we can skip, and we actually will be skipping a fair few. This one, however, is impossible for us to skip. If you do not have 2 Pokemon at this point in the game, these twins will just not fight you and they will not allow you to pass. So this is where it was kind of important that Pansage was still alive. Now the downside is Pansage is still alive and I'm gonna have to kill it off, and here it has really high health, which is kind of annoying. That means I have to use a Flame Charge to get rid of it. And then the other Purloin, and that's the end of that. I need to have the Pokemon defeated, because later on I want to skip a double battle. And the only way, like there's one double battle that we can only skip if we have just one Pokemon in our party, but it's too slow to go to a Pokemon Center for it, so we're just gonna do it like that. And with that, it's been a while since our last rival battle, right? How about we do another rival battle? So this Oshawott can actually hurt quite a bit. Hopefully he won't. Like this fight can go really easily or really poorly. Okay, we did not trigger the Oron Berry, so I can Tail Whip. The main reason that I use another Tail Whip instead of just using Tackle again is because that way I can keep it out of Torrent and keep it from doing even more damage. We end up not even doing any damage at all. That was a really good fight. I will take that. Now you might think, oh, level 16, that means we're going to evolve, but unfortunately we don't. Tepig only evolves at level 17. So we're still going to have to do one more later on. One more big battle before we actually get Ignite. Yeah, after the fight, we see some Team Plasma grunts running to the left, and they stole a Pokemon from that girl. So we're gonna go after them, and we're gonna take that Pokemon back. In the cave here, I don't actually mind getting a random encounter, because I actually need to catch something here. This is where we catch our fly slave, a Woobat. It's 50% to show up, like it's a 50% encounter. And then after chucking the Dusk Ball, it's like 90-something% to actually stay in the ball. I've only had one run where it didn't end up staying in the ball. So hopefully that doesn't happen today. We have a backup strat if it doesn't stick. So it's not the end of the world, but there's a chance. So that's the first fight. And with that, 2 more Team Plasma grunts are gonna show up, and now we have to do a double battle. And here we're kind of relying on Oshawott. I really do not want him to use Water Sport. Luckily, he usually just goes for Water Gun, which is the best option. But I really don't want him to go for Water Sport, because that just drags out this fight even more. I'm going to use Flame Charge on the right one. Okay, this is not terrible. Not ideal, but not terrible. Okay, that wasn't the worst possible outcome for that fight. Usually we try to go for a 2-hit knockout, but because of the detect, it ended up being 3 turns. That's okay. We get the Pokemon back, and with that, Cheren's gonna return the Pokemon. We're gonna stick around here because I still need a Woobat. I do... okay. Like I said, it's a 50% encounter. Nice, that's good. And then we're going to throw a Dusk Ball. Just kind of hope it sticks. Nice. Okay. So we're done with our catches for this game. This is literally all the Pokemon we're going to catch up until like the before last battle in the game. which we use a Master Ball for, so... Because there is one catch that's required, like the game won't let you not catch it. So we kind of have to do that, but that won't be until like 3.5 hours into the run or something. So as a thank you for helping the girl, she's going to give us a few heal balls. These are not actually that useful, but they do actually serve a purpose. If I were to die at, or have died at any point in the run, and lost some health, lost some money, I could have used those heal balls to make up the difference. I could have sold them and that usually makes it work out. Other than that, they serve no purpose for us. And I pick up a hidden rare candy over here. Very convenient for us. We're gonna make our way to Castella City. Okay, that girl is always a little bit terrifying because she is a trainer.
May I interject a little bit with a small announcement?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that this is going to be the end of my donation reading shift, and Crrool, I'll be handing you over to Nordic Soy. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. See you later in the marathon.
Thank you for joining me, Polister. Have a good one, dude. Okay, so we're gonna do... This is basically where we're going to be picking up the X items that I mentioned. We're gonna get 3x speeds and then 13x attack, and you'll see how close this works out money-wise. We have 72 left. Because assuming I didn't take any extra fights and assuming I didn't die anywhere, we always end up with just 72 left, so... And that's all of our X items for the remainder of the game. We're also going to pick up this charcoal. Very useful item. I need to very much remember not to forget to equip it before this next fight. Before this next fight I am actually going to save, because we actually have a potentially very dangerous fight coming up. Okay, that's done. So first safety save of the run. This next fight usually isn't that dangerous, but I am way higher on health than I should be. Because we never got hit by Cheren 3. I've just got way more health, and that could actually be a bit of a problem. So we meet up with N again, because it's, you know, we've had like 2 trainer battles since our last rival fight, so it's high time we do another one. Now the problem with this fight is I actually want to be in Blaze relatively early on in the fight, and we're way too high health to be able to hit that. That also causes this Pidove to be more likely to use Growl, which is not great. Yeah, we should be good. That actually worked out. I needed to think about that for a moment, whether he would hit me in Blaze or not, but he does. I used 1 extra X attack to counter the Growl. That's not terrible, I can make that up later on. And that's the fight against N. That went surprisingly well, all things considered, and we're, I guess, at a better health. We'll have to see how things work out, but so far so good. We're going to evolve to Pick Knight, and we're going to get our next move, Arm Thrust, and we're finally going to get rid of Tackle. We won't be in Blaze, I think, for this. Yeah, no, we won't be in Blaze for Carter. We'll probably... Yeah, I'll probably have to do an extra menu again soon. That's okay, though. So far, our battle against N. And with that, we're gonna head into the museum. Now, this museum serves it's both a museum and a library and a Pokemon gym, so it kind of serves 3 purposes at once. First things first, we're gonna get a bit of a tour here of the museum. They're gonna just show us around. It's all pretty cool and all, about these fossils and stuff. And then there's this odd stone. That stone right there is going to be very important later on.
Well, while we meander around the museum here, do you have time to talk about a few things?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, this is your Tepig talking. Figured pop on in and give a shout out to all of our subs, actually. Now, did you know that during this marathon, during ESA Together, the first 800 subs to ESA are going to get matched by a $2.50 donation from our sponsor, HyperX? If you look down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see how many sub points we're at. We're currently at 208 out of those 800. So if you have Amazon Prime, if you've got a Twitch subscription to do, if you can come in and give a sub, if you gift subs, all of those are going to help us out and get extra money from our sponsor, HyperX.
So the gym here is there's 3 battles that we need to do. And all of these, they kind of guide you through these books. And one by one, we need to find the answer to some questions in these books. This book, for example, the biology of a pat rat. We're just going to mash through it and then just move on. We first do the left side. We just work our way up. And then we're going to do the right side, same thing. We start at the bottom and then just move our way up. That'll get us all the books we need. Ooh, that's kind of an issue. Should be good. Okay, we ended up making it work. So we're still in Blaze, which means I can use Flame Charge on the next few Pokemon. But it's kind of important that I keep an eye on my health. Just before we actually get to the gym leader, I need to be almost full health. Ideally above 61, but not quite full. Okay, so we do that, and then we've got the trainer over here. So this trainer fight, this is the last one we're going to need to do. The strat is very different whether we have, whether we're in Blaze or not. But because I got hit by the previous Pokemon, we are currently in Blaze, so we're actually in a pretty good position here. Which means I can just Flame Charge all 3 of them. And I'm trying to see if I can manipulate being at a really nice amount of health for the gym leader. So I think we're going to end up healing to 60 if I have 2 potions left. I think I still have 2 potions left. That's technically slightly lower than I want to be because it does mean that there is a small chance that the Herdier can kill me. Because he can do up to 61 damage. But the chances of him actually getting that high a roll aren't huge, and it would make the rest of the game significantly, at least significantly faster if we can get that setup done. After we interact with that book, and that reveals a hidden staircase here, which is where we'll find Lenora, the second gym leader of the game. Okay, yeah, I have enough potions, so we're going to use 2 of these. Get me to 60. That's not ideal, but it'll have to do. And then we're going to teach Work Up over Tail Whip. And since I am definitely at risk here, we're going to save the game. Yeah, ideally you'd be between 62 and 67, but with the heal items that I had, there was no way for me to reach that. Okay, Lenora is always a bit of a scary fight. This is just definitely one of the more likely gym leaders to kill a run. So we're going to be we're going to be swapping to Woobat. That serves two purposes. On the one hand, it gets rid of the Intimidate, which means I have one fewer turn I need to do setup. On the other hand, I need all of my Pokemon fainted after this battle, because the double battle that I mentioned is coming up right after this. We're gonna work up twice. That is a really high roll. Yeah, I was afraid that might happen. I should have probably healed. He hit a 1 in 16 high roll there. That was the highest possible amount of damage he could do. We still had a chance to survive the second hit. It was definitely not even that unlikely that we would survive the second hit. But with that first hit, I knew it was going to be a bit risky. I took the risk and I lost the time because of it. It's alright though. This is not a fight that I'm surprised about dying. This gym leader has killed many a run. Yeah, same strat as before. Hopefully she doesn't actually hit like that hard twice. Takedown does anywhere between 25 and 30, by the way, normally. So it doing 31 on the first hit, like I said, that's a 1 in 16 high roll. Nope. Work up. Work up again. Or that happens. You might think this is better, but it really isn't. Ideally I would have been hit by takedown twice and survived, because that would put me in Blaze and make this next part significantly easier, because my PowerPoint management works out much easier. What? Okay. Oh, wait, I already see what I did wrong there. No, that's on me. Okay, this is not going quite as planned, but we're gonna make it work. Nordic, if you have something to talk about, go ahead. This is going about as poorly as it could, so...
Well, stop killing me. No,
I'm trying.
I just want to tell everybody that, you know, we truly appreciate all the support that you're giving with those donations, subscriptions, and cheers. You know, we just saw a whole bunch of subscriptions happen, and it's amazing what the community is doing for us right now. If you can't support us directly, though, make sure you tell all your friends about us as well. You know, ESA puts on 2 massive speedrunning events every year, and we want everybody to be able to experience just how amazing they are. Winter 20 was phenomenal, and, you know, we're looking forward to the next big event as soon as we can.
Okay, well, they say third try is the charm, so let's see if it works. The reason it went wrong, by the way, is the flame charge doesn't always kill unless I'm in Blaze, and I wasn't in Blaze because I didn't get hit by the takedowns. That's on me. I should have used arm thrust instead. That was definitely my mistake. See, so this time around, Flame Charge will actually kill, because we're... Actually, will it? 24? I'm gonna just use Arm Thrust. It should. We are exactly in Blaze, but it's a little bit close for comfort. I'm gonna just go with Arm Thrust. Okay, there we go. Because we level out of Blaze here, which kind of sucks. Okay, it was a bit of a struggle, but we got through it in the end, so we get ourselves the basic badge, and it's time for us to move on. Those are the two, or honestly, like this gym in general, that's the worst gym in the game done. The others are not nearly that scary. Yeah, after we defeat the gym leader, her husband, the owner of the museum, comes running in, and turns out that Team Plasma are causing a commotion in the museum, so we're going to check that out. And we find a whole bunch of them here. They're in the process of stealing the dragon skull here. So yeah, that's kind of rude, honestly. So we're gonna chase after them. I mean, it's one thing to steal, but this place is literally a gym. It's not like there aren't going to be any consequences if they do, right? Now, right as we walk outside, we see Berg coming towards us. Berg is the third gym leader, the Castella City gym, the gym leader, and he's going to help us catch those Team Plasma grunts. So Lenora, she's going to head to the right because they didn't end up seeing which way the Team Plasma grunts went. Berg is going to go towards the left. We're gonna help out Berg here. And Cheren and Bianca, they're gonna defend the museum from anything else happening. Now, on the way, we're actually going to pick up quite an important move for us. Right here, we can get the TM for Rock Smash. Rock Smash is going to be replacing Arm Thrust in a moment, because honestly, Arm Thrust is nice and all, but it's kind of inconsistent. Also, since I'm not in Blaze, I'm going to pick up this Ether for safety. So we end up getting to Pinwheel Forest. Berg is going to head up north, block the path for any Team Plasma members, and we're going to go to the left. Those two twins right there, they would normally fight us, but they don't right now because we only have one Pokemon alive, and that's the reason that we had to kill off all of our Pokemon earlier on. Had we been in Blaze, I could have just used Ember on this Sandile, but because we're not, I'm gonna have to use Arm Thrust instead. It still kills, it's really not a big deal, but it's... It matters only because our power points just don't work out as nicely later on. Especially, like, because I really now have to pay attention to how many detects we get, how many spinners or optionals we end up hitting, and if needed, I may have to resort to using that Ether that I just picked up. So now that we've defeated the first two Team Plasma grunts, we're gonna get ready to go through the grass, and we're gonna get to our first big spinner that we're gonna have to pass. Basically, how it works is in this game there are a bunch of trainers that kind of face in random directions, and they can be really annoying because they can just decide to face my way as I'm trying to get past them, and that would mean the battle triggers, and that would be really slow. So we really don't want that to happen. The first one of those is coming up. Most of them aren't too bad. There is one spinner at the end, however, that I'll be saving before, because if we hit her, well, there's no way for me to win the fight. Okay, so that's the first spinner. This trainer here is required. That's she's just hidden in the grass there. Fairly easy fight, though. She has a Pansage. Interesting to note, pretty much every Pokemon that we have to fight in Pinwheel Forest would have died to Ember had we been in Blaze. That's why we tried to manipulate Blaze in the previous gym fight. But unfortunately, we didn't quite get that. We've got like 3 HP too much. So we're just gonna have to work our way around it. I'm gonna take it very slow here because there's a trainer there. And then on to the next one. Now, as we get through these Team Plasma grunts, something I'll mention this like 2 or 3 times over the course of this run probably, but if you like seeing these sort of Pokemon runs, the tech, that's really bad. you know, I always greatly appreciate it if you were to, you know, head over to my channel as well at some point, you know, drop a follow. I run pretty much every Pokemon game, and those that I don't already run, I'm going to be learning over the next few months. Black is always a fun one to do, but there's many, many more interesting Pokemon things, I suppose. So, you know, if you like seeing Pokemon, then be sure to check that out. And that's enough shameless self-promo. I'm going to go back to these Team Plasma grunts. Are we in Blaze? I'm pretty sure we're not in Blaze. No, we're not in Blaze. It's under a third. Had I had 2 HP less, I would have been in Blaze. But I would only be in Blaze at 25 or less at this point. About to say, I don't think I'm in Blaze. Okay, so we're already really low on flame charges. I'm gonna quickly check how that's going to influence things later on. I need 1 flame charge there, 1 there, 1 there. Yeah, we're gonna have to use the ether on flame charge. Yeah, as we defeat the grunt here, one of the Team Plasma sages, they interrupt us, and well, we're gonna get the skull back. Now, as we've gotten the skull back, we're gonna get a moonstone as a reward here, which is honestly kind of useless. We're not going to be able to really do anything with that. It's not like we have any Pokemon that would evolve by Moonstone. But problem solved, time to move on. And in fact, we're about to come up on basically sort of a cutscene, except it's a cutscene I actually need to hold buttons for as we get to this bridge. So Nordic, if you want to talk about anything, now would be a pretty good moment.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to. Want to talk about some of our upcoming incentives that we have. As we talked about a little bit earlier, ATN's got a Rise and Shine run coming up here after yours. We are trying to meet an incentive to have him run that at 100%. Right now, we are still at $9 out of the $100 that we need to make that happen. So those of you here in chat, those of you watching, you can make that happen. Just go ahead and head on over to donations.esamarathon.com and put in some money towards it. A little bit after that, we also have a Wonder Boy run being done that you get to choose whether or not the main character is a boy or a girl. We don't have any donations in for that yet either, so hop on over and make your choice. You get to choose what's going on with the character choice for that game.
Okay, so we're almost across the bridge here. It's a nice bit of exposition, I guess, but the bridge doesn't really do anything for us. And with that, it's we can move on to Castella City. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, city in pretty much all of Pokemon. This place is quite massive, as you can see. Now, we would immediately go to the gym, but unfortunately, as we get there, we're going to get interrupted a bit. Cheren walks out of the gym and then Bert follows quickly after. Something about Team Plasma again. So he asks us to meet us at one of the piers. And that's actually where we'll find another character that would play a much bigger role had this been Pokemon White. But in Pokemon Black, her role is actually really limited. Because as we get to the pier here, we meet Iris. Now, in Pokemon White, Iris is the 8th gym leader. In Pokemon Black, however, she is not. We don't actually ever get to fight her. And then in Pokemon Black and White 2, she's actually the champion, so she's got quite a diverse role across the games. But in this particular one, her role is incredibly small. So yeah, Berg and me, we're gonna go chase after that Team Plasma Grunt. Iris is gonna guard Bianca, I think, something like that. Yeah, we can just move into the city here, into the street. And right here we find a few Team Plasma members. Now these are not particularly difficult, honestly. Berg is going to take care of 2 of them. We're going to take care of the last one. It's just 2 hits and then it's done. Now, since I mentioned Pokemon White just now, I should probably talk a little bit about the differences between this and Pokemon White. For Gen 5, especially Black and White 1, it doesn't really matter which one you run. It makes surprisingly little difference. Pokemon Black has the advantage that the box art legendary that we get at the end is slightly better than the box art legendary from Pokemon Black, which I think on average saves 1 turn in 1 battle, something like that. It's an incredibly small thing. And then Pokemon White, I believe Pokemon White also has an advantage somewhere else. I don't exactly know where that comes in. But I remember somebody mentioning at some point to me that there was another difference somewhere there that sort of mitigates that time loss again. But realistically, the difference between Pokemon Black and Pokemon White is a matter of seconds. Like, both can be run pretty competitively. And that kind of makes this one stand out a little bit compared to a lot of other Pokemon games. Like, a lot of games have a very clear advantage for one over the other. But with Gen 5, especially Black and White 1, virtually non-existent. I think Black and White 2, there's like 1 extra trainer in one of them, though I don't run Black and White 2 nearly as much, so I'm not as familiar with it. Yeah, Bianca here gets her mana back, and we get another... We get to chat with them a little bit, and then it's on to the next gym. And probably one of the weirdest gyms out there. I'd safely say that this next gym's probably one of the weirdest ones we have to do. The good thing for us, though, is it's a Bug-type gym, and we're pretty good against Bug-type Pokemon. So, yeah, basically how this gym works is we have to make our way through this honey. And then we need to step on buttons to open up these gates to have us go through more honey. And like whenever we get here, I always wonder how the gym leader, but especially the gym trainers, get to their spot every day. I mean, I know they're dressed up as clowns and whatnot, but that must be something to have to go through, like, those layers of honey every day. I don't know. I don't think this is as good as an idea as they thought it was. Yeah, the fights itself are really easy. They're all Bug-type Pokemon, so nothing really for us to worry about. Nope. Almost said yes there. And almost got rid of Flame Charge. That would have been really bad. And end up making the mistake. I saved it. Now some of the buttons are actually fake, and will just trigger a trainer showing up. One example is the one right behind this wall of honey, so it's actually kind of important that I immediately take a step to the left or right to make sure that we don't actually have to go through that one. We hit the button over here. That top gate, that's the one that we need to open up. I think I'm going to do a quick... Yeah, I think I'm going to use a super potion before we actually get to the gym leader. We're very close to being in Blaze, but we're just too high. And going into that without being in, or with barely not being in Blaze, doesn't actually really have any advantages. Let's go through this one. There's one more button we need to hit, and there's one trainer protecting it, so this one we actually have to fight. Again, this guy just has 2 Bug-type Pokemon. Like, honestly, this is one of the easier gyms in this run. There's a lot of Bug-type Pokemon. Yeah, as I heal, that'll also give me an opportunity to Ether Flame Charge, so that will actually have enough for the next part of the run. Because there are a few trainers where I'd still want to use Flame Charge, and we're only down to like 3 power points. I could have done that a lot more efficiently. Whatever. Use my last fresh water. Gets us back to full. Hit the button, open up the gate, and then we move to Berg. Now Berg is the first, generally speaking, really easy gym leader. But there are some bad things that can happen. The main thing is his first Pokemon, Whirlipede, can poison us. And that would kind of be annoying. We picked up an antidote earlier in case that happened. This is literally the one fight where we can get poisoned, which that antidote is for. But if we do end up getting poisoned, that could lose us a bit of time. So yeah, we use Workup. He goes for Pursuit. That's actually one of the better things he can do. Means we pretty much just don't take any damage. We're going to use Rock Smash on the Dwebble. Sand Attack is kind of annoying. Bigger chance that we're going to miss something. Since I just Ethered though, I have enough power points. That gets that one done. And then we have the Leavanny left at the end here. Still on -1 accuracy, but overall this should go down in one hit. Except we missed. Okay, we missed twice because of the Sand Attack. That's kind of unfortunate. But that's the fight done, and that's 3 badges. Honestly, all in all, this run isn't going too poorly yet. I mean, especially considering the 2 deaths on Lenora. I've got my PB splits up, and I'm like 2.5 minutes behind right now. Which, considering how far we are in, and how many of the big threats we've had, it's not too bad. So yeah, we make our way through the honey again, get out of this gym. And then once we're out, we're gonna get a phone call here from Bianca. You see, you might remember at the start I called this basically a rival simulator, and it's been a while since we've done any rival battles, right? I mean, the last one was just before the 2nd gym leader, so I think it's high time we do another rival battle. How about that? We're gonna make our way up here to towards Route 4, and we're gonna do ourselves our next rival fight. At this point, I've pretty much lost track of how many it's been, but it's been a fair few. So yeah, Bianca here meets us at the gate, and she's gonna ask the guy keeping an eye on the gate, I guess, whether it's okay if we battle here, and he or she's like, you know, that's fine as long as you make sure the board doesn't get damaged. Now we can do that. We're gonna make this a nice and quick fight. The strat here is pretty straightforward. The Herdier is going to lower our attack, so we need to get that back up. So we're going to use Workup. That's not quite enough for us to actually defeat it, so we're going to use it again. And from there, everything's a one-shot. We use Rock Smash on her here. We use Flame Charge here on the Mana. Now the rivals also get a bit more variety in their team. They get the other elemental monkeys. Just like how we got Pansage, they also got the other elemental monkeys. So she got Panpour, and then Servine just dies to an Ember. Pretty easy fight right there. We will have to heal before the next fight. I want to be at least at 60 HP before we go into the fight against Cheren. But yeah, that is Bianca done, and we can now move on to Route 4. Route 4 is not that difficult a route. There's only like one required trainer, which is right here. Is that enough? Yeah, that should do. That should already be enough health. I'm immediately going to use the repel as well. Now, I have seen this fight cause trouble before, and our last center that we visited was like the second town in the game or something, or the third town in the game, so I don't want to be sent back there. In the next city, we're actually going to be using the Pokemon Center again, so if I die there, from then on, it's kind of alright. But yeah, right here, I'm not going to take any risks. Dewott has Razor Shell, which if it crits, pretty much is a one-shot. Yeah, the Pidove we're immediately going to deal with. Pidove has some things that could kind of make it a problem. So it's not ideal to set up there. So instead we're going to set up on the Dewott, which kind of isn't ideal either, but it does work out. Then Rock Smash. He's going to get that Citrus Berry off, so he didn't get the crit. But you can see how much damage he does, and you can probably see why I was a little bit afraid of this battle. We're going to be very low coming out of this. It doesn't matter that we're very low here, though. There is only one battle left. Or at least one required battle. And after that required battle, there's a center heal that we're going to do. So, all good.
While I'm flexing on all these Pokemon, do we have time for a quick donation?
Go ahead.
Right on. Well, we've got a $25 donation from Funky Monk. He chimes in and says he wanted to get a donation in during Crrool's run. Good luck. Also, thanks to ESA for everything you guys do and the work you all put in. Been giving me hours and hours of entertainment for almost 7 years now. So thank you very much for that donation, Funky Monk. And with that $25 donation, that actually makes him eligible for every single one of our prizes that we have available. HyperX has graciously sponsored us with a bunch of their Cloud series, their Stinger series, and their Pulsefire series mice, mousepad, and headsets, all available for various donations ranging from $15 to $25 each. And we also have a French indie game bundle that's been donated. That is a collection of one bundle, 7 games that has Cyberhook, Inside My Radio, Double Kick Heroes, OSM or Old School Musical, Skybolt Zack, Stay Safe, and Starendon Binary Stars. That you can get on that for a $15 donation as well.
Hey, we've made it to Nimbasa City, another really big city here. And as we enter the city, we see this gentleman being bothered by some Team Plasma grunts. So we're gonna deal with that. Now, the reason I needed that ether earlier is if I didn't pick that up, I would have run out of Rock Smash power points here. Or sorry, out of Flame Charge power points, not Rock Smash. Like, the power point management, if you don't get Blaze off of the second gym, right here, is incredibly close. There's just if you don't get Blaze, it still works and you're still fine, but you barely have anything left. So the Team Plasma Grunts, they're gonna move on. They're gonna run off to the amusement park, and this gentleman right here, as a thank you, he's going to give us the bike. And now that we have the bike, that's going to make our movement a little bit faster. I'm not immediately going to get on the bike though, because we have to go to the Pokemon Center first anyway, and it's right on the left here. So it's not really worth entering the menu over. Quite a few things we need to get here. First and foremost, we're going to be getting the TM for return. I'm going to buy some Hyper Potions. 6 of these. We're going to buy some Paralyze Heals. Use the Pokemon Center, because we need our power points back. And then unregister that. We're going to be teaching Return over Ember. Finally time for us to get rid of Ember. And then once we've done that, we're going to register the bike and move on to the amusement park as well. And we're gonna do a very cutesy little date here with N. This next N fight, I will say, is scary. He is definitely capable of killing me. I will say, if he does, it's not terrible because we just used the center, and from here on the money management isn't nearly as tight anymore. Now, while this runs, I'm going to quickly let my cat outside because she's been bothering me about that for a bit now. And this text plays equally fast all the time anyway. Yeah, it's after this that we, after this date scene that we get to actually fight him. So yeah, most of this fight isn't too difficult, but especially the second Pokemon, Sigilith, can be a pretty big problem. It has Psybeam, which can confuse me, and it has... I think Air Slash, I believe it's called, which has like a 25% crit rate or something. So lots of bad things. Also, for the people in my chat right now, if you redeem it right, if you redeem that with your channel points right now, I won't actually do it until after the run. The people in my chat are memeing about making me dab on the ESA stream, because they can redeem that for like 10,000 points or something, and it's like, yeah, no, that isn't gonna happen during the marathon run. No. Yeah, we don't actually get takedown. We don't need it. And then the Scraggy is an easy one-shot as well. Like, everything after that Sigilith isn't a problem. Do it anyway? No, Digital, that's not happening. Now, if you were to donate for it, that might convince me otherwise, but in general, no. No, don't count on it. So we get to the actual gym here, and this gym is kind of a fun one. There's a bunch of roller coasters here. Because I mean, at the end of the day, this is part of the amusement park. Now, the gym itself, this is probably one of the more annoying gyms, because a lot of things in this gym have static, so we can just randomly get paralyzed. And if that happens at a bad moment, it can actually be a little bit of a problem. So Pursuit here is fine. And then we're going to use Flame Charge. We didn't get Static on the first turn, that's really good. Static on the second one isn't great, but it's not as bad. So now I can just barely make that cycle still. And I'll just heal it off after. As I'm entering the menu, the roller coasters still run, which is why I've needed to make sure that I first made that cycle and then did the heal. Because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get to the cart in time. The second trainer and the third trainer are a lot easier because none of those have Pokemon with Static, but then the fourth and last one, or the fourth and the gym leader are a different story. Another little bonus though, these trainers also give a lot of money. Like you may have noticed that last trainer just now just gave me 4,000 Poké Dollars. Kind of convenient. It makes the shopping later on a bit easier because we can just buy plenty of repels and potions as I could realistically ever need in the run. Yeah, this one has 2 Pokemon, they're both Blitzels as well. So these are not much of a problem. Realistically, the only actually scary fight here is the gym leader, Elesa. She leads with 2 Emolgas, and both of those have Static. And Aerial Ace, so they can actually do a fair amount of damage as well. Getting paralyzed there can be an issue. Yeah, now we just need to wait for the roller coaster to come back. Make sure that we get this one as fast as we can. This cycle also works out nicely. Like, you have just enough time to make that. So Colette has another Emolga. Since we're not currently in Blaze, I have to use Workup, but that's also a little bit risky because she can damage me by enough to have put me in Blaze, which she actually did. And then the turn after a crit would have actually killed. Luckily that didn't happen though. We're paralyzed, but that's not a big deal. This time around I do need to wait for the cart anyway, so I'm going to make use of that by going into the menu. We're going to use that Hyper Potion. And use the... oh, nope, not the rare candy. We need those candies later. Para Heal. And that means that the card is there. Hey, time for the gym leader. Let's see how this is gonna go. So the idea here is pretty simple. On the first turn I'm going to use Workup, the Emolga is going to damage me with Aerial Ace. And the second turn I'm going to go for Flame Charge, and the Emolga is going to put me in Blaze. 29, perfect. Didn't get Static, good. Now, because of the Flame Charge, we got our speed boosted, so we're faster, so we actually outspeed the second Emolga. It's unfortunate if we get Static by the second, because it does mean I have to heal. So there's 2 ways that this can go right now. I'm going to use a Super Potion, which will actually... like, we can actually survive 2 hits now. And then we can Spark. And as long as we don't get stuck in Paralysis, that still wins us the fight. The alternative was to heal to full, heal to Paralysis, and then go for that. We're gonna Heat Crash, and we're gonna get rid of Workup here. Workup has served its purpose. And that's Elesa. 4 badges down, and there's really only one gym leader that tends to actually be scary that we still need to do. Like right now, we're really done with most of the big run killers. Elesa tends to be able to lose you a lot of time just because of if you get static and then stuck in paralysis, you kind of just get into a heal loop of sorts, and it's really annoying. I am going to just heal to full here. I don't have the means to heal to about where I want to be, so I'm just going to heal to full instead.
So, hey Crrool, we've got a donation here.
Okay.
We've got $30 from somebody calling themselves Dabmeister Box, who has taken your challenge and says, Dab, I do.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna... just give me a moment to get into a cutscene. There's a pretty good one. There you go, Box. I mean, if it's for a good cause, right? So we get to the musical here, where Bianca was waiting for us. And yeah, we get to dress up our pig night. We're gonna just ignore it though. We're not actually gonna dress up pig night. I could have for the memes, but still a speedrun, right? Yeah, Bianca now walks out and we get a super emotional cutscene between her and her dad. I think this is kind of the cutscene where her dad accepts her becoming a Pokemon trainer. Because initially he was he's very much against it, and then the gym leader comes and he kind of helps change his mind. So yeah, kind of just a cutesy cutscene, and the music during it is really good too. So. Yeah, he's going to let Bianca continue her journey. Elesa, she's going to move on to Route 5, which is where we have to go next. So, that's just what we'll do. Now, remember how I called this a rival simulator? How about we do another rival battle? It's been a while, right? I mean, the last one was just before the last gym, so I think it's high time. Here we go, Cheren number 5. Now, the light part here pretty much always starts off with fake out. So we're going to use that turn to just start setting up that X attack that we got. I do need to save an X attack later, but this isn't the place where we're going to do that. We take some damage from Fury Swipes, but then from here on everything becomes a one-shot. Now there is something a little bit annoying that can happen on the third Pokemon. We've been hit by Torment, which means every turn I have to do a different move. And the Tranquil actually has Detect, so that could kind of become a problem. It's not a huge deal because there are plenty of other moves that will also kill, but that would really be the one thing we really don't want to see. Luckily this time it didn't happen. In my practice run yesterday we got Detect there, at which point you use Return on Tranquil and then go for Rock Smash on Pansear, so it still works out. And now we're going to meet another very important character in this game. It's time for us to meet the champion, Alder. Cheren at first has no idea who he is, but... Yeah, Alder is kind of an interesting champion. He's one of the few champions in Pokemon in general that never really wanted to be champion. He just cares more about, you know, spreading the word about love for Pokemon and whatnot. Something along those lines. He's cool though. He's pretty alright. You really see that in the sequel as well. Like in Black and White 2, when he's not champion anymore, that really kind of comes into play, where you just see him on quite a number of occasions over the course of the game, where he just tells you to care about your Pokemon and whatnot. Yeah, here we have to do a double battle with these two preschoolers. Pretty easy fight, and from there we're going to be moving on. We get a free heal just before this fight, so pretty much every time we kind of know what our situation's like. Oh, let's get on the bike. And we're going to get this drawbridge down. Now this drawbridge is a little bit more interesting than the bridge from before, mainly because there's actually random encounters here, but they only show up if you go to... there's sometimes in in Gen 5, a grass tile starts to rustle, or in the case of the bridge here, a shadowy tile starts to appear, or if you're on water, a tile of water starts to ripple. And those kind of tiles have all kinds of special effects, so they can get you very rare Pokemon, or get you items sometimes. And in the case of this bridge, it's possible for an item to spawn or for a ducklet to spawn. Now, we don't really want either, so we're going to just try to not actually hit one of those tiles. It's pretty easy to dodge because only one exists at a time. So they're not really much of an issue. Yeah, you can kind of use audio cues to figure out where they are. And it's kind of cool, like, we have, like, once a year we have this big Pokemon race where we play, like, every Pokemon game back to back. And there's a catching incentive in that as well. Like, we have to catch all the Pokemon, and a lot of Pokemon are only obtained through those special tiles. Which is kind of adds a nice fun challenge to figure out which ones you have to do like that. Anyway, as we get to the town, we hear some word of a problem at the cold storage with Team Plasma, so we're going to go check that out. There's several spinners here, so we're going to try to dodge all of them, see if we can. Now, none of the cold storage workers are required battles, but a lot of these can hit you if you get unlucky. Okay, we didn't get hit by either of them. My PB actually hits both of them. These are like the only two spinners that my PB hits, so it's always kind of nice when I get through that without actually hitting any of them. Always a nice little time save. And then we get to the end of the cold storage where we see all these Team Plasma members and one of the sages all huddled up to keep warm. And we're like, well, you know, Cheren, you're going to take all of the Plasma Grunts on the left, I'm going to take all of them on the right. And we're just going to defeat all of them, because that's easy, right? Okay, so all of these fights are pretty straightforward. Pretty much everything that Team Plasma throws at us just dies in one hit. Sometimes it matters which move we use. Most of the time it doesn't even. Like towards the later parts of this of the run, we actually have a pretty big sequence with Team Plasma members where the notes are just like, yeah, any move kills, just use whatever. Because except for the Trubbishes, which don't actually die to fighting type moves, every move always kills. That's just how straightforward these can be. Okay. So this Trubbish, pretty easy Pokemon here. He's died to return. Yeah, I'm playing on an original DS with a built-in capture card, in case anybody's wondering. DS Fat. I actually have 2 of them, but for Pokemon Black, this is the only one I can use because of the RNG manip. If I were to switch to my other one, I'd have to reroute the RNG manip again. And that's honestly kind of one of the... probably the biggest hurdle when it comes to Gen 5, because honestly, the manipulation itself is among the easiest. I mean, you saw earlier how quickly I was able to get it, and I pretty much always get it within 3 tries. It's very rare for me to not have it after 3 tries. But routing the manip itself actually takes a few hours, which is a little bit annoying. So yeah, after we defeat all the Team Plasma Grunts, Clay comes walking in with some workers from the cold storage here, and they're gonna escort all of them out. And from there, we can kind of just make our way out. Our next stop is going to be the 5th gym. The 5th gym is kind of the last gym that really has scary stuff, although they're not nearly as scary as they were with the other gyms. It's the ground type gym, so a lot of things are going to do quite a bit of damage to us. But we also are able to one-shot most things that we have to do. But before that, though, Getsa shows up with pretty much an army of Team Plasma members. And they're gonna leave again here. But yeah, that isn't gonna stop us. So Gym 5, just like the earlier gyms, had some other form of a purpose. Like the 4th one was a was an amusement park. The first one, or the 2nd one was the library. The 5th one here is a mine. Honestly, though, this mine is not too bad. The first Pokemon here is a little bit dangerous because it does actually have a move that can hurt us quite a bit. But luckily we have plenty of health, so we should be okay. So Muddy Water, Mudshot is not actually that bad. The scariest thing he can do would have been Muddy Water. Muddy Water would have done up to 66 damage. That's a 1 in 16 high roll, but he could do up to 66 damage. And I think it also has a chance to lower your accuracy or something. It's really not a good situation. Luckily that didn't happen, so we can just move on. The other 2 trainers that we need to fight before the gym leader are all pretty free. First we have this Krokorok that dies in 1 hit, the next one will have a Drillbur that dies in 1 hit. The gym leader itself is a little bit scary, although it's very rare for the gym leader to actually be able to kill me. It's one of those fights that it looks a lot closer than it actually is. Okay, so this is Katie. She has a Drillbur. Easy one-shot. And then before we're going to actually fight Clay, I will have to heal to at least very close to full, but we're realistically just going to heal to full. I need at least 103 HP, otherwise there's a very realistic chance of us dying. Because the second Pokemon that Clay uses, Palpitoad, just has a lot of ways to damage us. It has Muddy Water, it has Bulldoze. And in order to one-shot the Excadrill, I need to be +1 speed, otherwise it's going to outspeed me, and pretty much instantly kill me, because Bulldoze from Excadrill is nearly a one-shot. And then we also need to either be in Blaze or have used at least one X attack. For the sake of safety, I am going to save here. Probably one of my last safety saves for a while, considering there's not that much bad thing, not that many bad things that can happen at this point. So here we go, gym number 5. Let's see how that's going to go. Now the first Pokemon is completely free here. This is Krokorok. That's, I mean, it's part Dark type. We have Fighting type moves. Easy. Now the second Pokemon is where things get tricky. Like I said, we need to be on +1 speed. That's just absolutely required, otherwise we don't outspeed the Excadrill. Bulldoze drops my speed again by 1 stage, which is why the Bulldoze can be such a nuisance, honestly. $37, it's 90, 40. Oh, dude, no, this is bad. Okay, this is bad. So, I am 2 HP too high to be in Blaze. So, there is a backup strat, but I have never had to use this backup strat before. This is literally this is a first for me. I've literally never had to use it before. That works. Okay. I expected him to go for Bulldoze and then just put me in Blaze. That works. That was weird. That was a really weird fight. But we got through it, so I guess that's okay. Honestly, I thought that without Blaze, the Excadrill wasn't going to die at all. I didn't even know it was a damage range. So either we got it, we must have gotten at least a decently high roll there. Yeah, we must have had a decently high roll. Because otherwise that would not have killed it. We would have been faster on the second turn again, so I could have kept him, or I would have been able to get the kill either way. Like, we were in a good spot, but just the way that things worked out. Anyway, some shopping. We're going to get all of the repels that we need for the entire remainder of the game. And as many hyper potions as we can afford at this point. This is also why if I had died at any point, it wouldn't really have mattered money-wise, because I would have just had one fewer... how do you call it? One fewer hyper potion or something, or 2, and that's not a big deal. So we move on to Bianca, and we actually saved an X attack on Clay, so I can just go with the normal strats here. This is usually not... Oh yeah, I forgot to say it, but another rival fight in case you were keeping track. Yeah, 2 X attacks here. That works. And then from here on, let's see, Heat Crash. I use Return for Panpour. Now the Musharna coming up, that one isn't a one-shot. So we're going to Heat Crash turn 1. Psybeam should get us in Blaze. We didn't get confused. That's kind of important. If we'd gotten confused, it would have been kind of annoying. Don't need to learn Assurance, and then we just have the Survine left. And you know what, Nordic?
Yeah, well.
You're gonna evolve in a moment.
Oh, I get to flex harder. Well, while that's going on, just want to, again, shout out that we're here at ESA Together. We're here to help promote staying indoors in these trying times while giving you some prime entertainment with a huge variety of speedruns and speedrunners from all around the world. And a great way that you can help support us is by telling people about us. We host multiple speedrun events throughout the year. We're constantly growing. So don't let people get left behind. Get them on board with ESA and tell some people about us.
Okay, now that Bianca is done, we're going to use a repel here. We now have plenty of max repels, so we don't have to worry about that the rest of the game. There are some spinners on this route, so we're going to try to dodge all of those. Especially these two scientists are kind of a pain, and I don't trust these guys one bit. They can just randomly decide that they're going to spin into a different direction and then hit you and waste a bunch of time. We get the elixir here. Okay. It's slow, but we got through it without actually hitting any trainers, and that's the important part. Clay is now going to open up Chargestone Cave for us, and this is going to be kind of big, because we are about to get probably the most broken item in the game. Definitely for speedrunning purposes, by far the most broken item in the game. And one of the main reasons why the second half really isn't that scary. As we get into the cave here, well, first we're going to have a bit of a cutscene with N and his cronies. They decide to move us, or they move us like 4 tiles, and then they're like, "N, we brought you we brought him like you wanted." It's like, yeah, I saw N. He's right there. But now for the big one. As we go a little bit further in the cave, Bianca shows up. We're not actually going to fight her. This is not time for another rival battle. I mean, we literally just fought her after all. But the professor also shows up, and she's going to give us a lucky egg. Now, the lucky egg is an item, for those who don't know, that boosts the amount of experience you get by quite a significant amount. I think it like doubles the amount you get or something. Which means that as long as I have this as a hold item on my main, I'm going to get a ton more experience. So we're going to give that to Nordic right away. We're going to heal because we're actually kind of low on health. We want to be at least on 57 for this next part, and we were only on 47, so we're just going to heal to full. I'm gonna kind of watch out for this guy. This is probably the optional that I tend to hit most often. Because he walks around and you kind of get stuck for a little bit on a tile where he can see you. And there's no way to not have that happen, so he can be kind of a pain. But we dodged him. Took my time for it. That's times 1.5 experience. Somebody in my own chat just mentioned. I wasn't exactly sure how much it was with the lucky egg, but it's a lot. And that's going to matter quite a lot. Another important trainer for us to dodge there. In my earlier runs, I hit that trainer so often. And then it's time for our favorite people here again. It's time for us to face Team Plasma. And there's going to be quite a number of grunts that we need to fight as well. All in all, we don't really have to worry much about our power points because we have that elixir that we just picked up. The only thing that really matters is after this entire sequence, I want to have at least 10 power points left on return. That's really all that matters. Additionally, I'm going to very likely be on 0 for Heat Crash. That's just because of optimal PP usage. If I have 5 returns, I can, because we want both of those moves at full afterwards, and by having Heat Crash at 0, at least know that I at least know that I've used them optimally. But yeah, like that, we're just gonna get through a few. So Nordic, if you have more to talk about, we're just beating up some grunts anyway.
All right, well, let's talk about all you watching right now again. You know, we have this amazing partnership with HyperX for this event. And during ESA Together, the first 800 subscriptions that we get to the ESA channel are going to be matched by a $2.50 donation from HyperX. If you look down in your lower left-hand corner, you can see that we have 225 out of those 800 sub points already allocated. So get in now and get those subscriptions so that we can fill that out. You know, you can also gift subs. That's a really amazing way to show support. And you can do those in batches of 5 or 10, so maybe we can even get a hype train going.
So this is this next Pokemon, these Liparts, they actually kind of matter. There's a little bit of RNG to these. They have Fake Out. All of the Liparts that we're going to see from these Team Plasma Grunts have Fake Out. It's random whether they'll use it or not, because the Team Plasma AI basically just uses a random move. So at the end of the day, we're just kind of hoping for them not to use Fake Out. As long as they don't use it, we're good. It's not a huge deal if they do end up using Fake Out, it just loses a few seconds is all. So we're going to use some Flame Charges on these Trubbishes. It's not a big deal if I run low on Flame Charge, because that move is actually going to get replaced very soon. Because we have, I think when we hit level 40, I want to say 42 or 43, we actually get the move Flamethrower. And that's going to be replacing Flame Charge finally. Assuming we don't hit any optionals, which so far we haven't, I will be getting that at the end of the 6th Gym Leader. I should have talked to this trainer, but that's okay. I guess I haven't even mentioned that, but you may have, over the course of the run, you may have noticed that I keep talking to trainers rather than run in front of them, at least most of the time. The reason for that is that talking to them results in the exclamation mark above their head not showing up, and that actually saves a little bit of time, because those exclamation marks are kind of slow. That's because of that you'll see that in a lot of main series Pokemon runs, because realistically anything up until about Gen 7, it's faster to talk to them. Gen 7 I think is the first gen where that wasn't the case anymore, and where it's as fast. But it just goes to show how much of a difference it can make. Like, a lot of little things like that are happening to just try and save a few seconds here and there. But over the course of the entire game, it definitely adds up. Okay, 2 more grunts, and then we're done with all of the grunts on this floor. And we can actually move on to the next town again. We got lucky, we haven't gotten Fake Out on either of the Liparts, so that's kind of nice. Then we have this grunt, and this is the last grunt we need to fight for a little while. There will be more Team Plasma grunts coming up. There's a lot of Team Plasma grunts over the course of this game, but this is the last one for a little bit. And then, you know what they say, right? This game, Rival Simulator, it's been a while, so we're gonna get another rival fight very soon. How about that? I think that's the, I want to say 12th? I'm not entirely, I want to say it's the 12th. You see, at the end of this cave is where we meet N again. And this is the only fight in this entire cave where we won't actually one-shot all of his Pokemon. Well, we're still gonna one-shot all but one, but the first Pokemon, Boldore, will not be a one-shot. It has Sturdy, so we couldn't even if we wanted to. Does mean it's going to get a chance to attack me. Smackdown, that's pretty normal. Usually does between 18 and 21 damage. Did 19 there, so that was a very average roll. Now on the last 3 of his Pokemon, we're first and foremost going to get rid of all of our Heat Crashes. We're just going to use all of the remaining ones. Now I only have 1 left, so I'll only be using it for Joltik. The other 2, they also die to Flame Charge, so it's really not a big deal. The way Heat Crash works, by the way, is it deals more damage depending on how big a weight difference there is between me and my opponent. And since Emboar is a really heavy Pokemon and Joltik is one of the lightest Pokemons out there, it's crazy powerful. Huh, I actually golded my N4 split. It's kind of funny. I mean, pretty much everything went perfectly, but... Well, not perfectly. I was a little bit slow here and there, but nothing bad happened RNG-wise. Still funny, though. Actually, like, with the 2... I'm kind of surprised that with the 2 deaths that we had at the start to the second gym leader, right now I'm only a minute and a half behind PB. And I know I have more than a minute and a half time save later on, so I'm not saying it'll happen, but I'm not saying it's impossible either, which would be kind of funny. Yeah, we also meet I think it's the dad of the professor, Cedric. He gives us an upgrade to the Pokedex, and we meet Skyla. Skyla right here is the gym leader, the 6th gym leader. Master of Flying-type Pokemon. Before we actually go there, though, we have a little bit of a side quest that we need to do. As we need to go to the Celestial Tower, I think it's called. I believe it's the Celestial Tower. And just run across this. Helps me avoid a bunch of trainers. I do need to repel just before the end here. We're going to also use the elixir. And I need to heal to full. Okay, here I always really need to pay attention, because those rangers, they're really hard to dodge sometimes. I've hit them more often than I'd like to admit, honestly. But yeah, we're going to climb the tower here. There's only one required fight, which is this one. Every floor after this, and that's kind of the cool one, the way that the floors work is there's trainers there that'll spin, just like the spinners we saw before, except they're not random this time. They're always going to spin once every time I press the B button. So I can kind of use that to manipulate them in such a way that we'll dodge them every single time. Yeah, and then all of these fights themselves, they're really easy.
Well, while you're cruising through these fights, I'd like to remind everybody about our upcoming incentive here for Rise and Shine. Now, you know that ATN's going to be running this at any percent, but he wants to run it at 100%, and we need your donations to make that happen. We're currently at $9 out of the $100 that we need, and we've got about 2 hours, a little less, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, until we need to meet that incentive. And keep in mind, ATN is the world record holder in both of those categories, so it's going to be quite a show, especially if we can get him to run that at 100%.
Okay, we've made it to the top of the tower. All we need to do here is ring the bell. But before we do, Skyla is going to talk to us for a bit. I actually forgot something in my earlier menu. I just realized I forgot to teach Fly to Woobat. We're going to do that in a moment. It's not a huge deal that I forgot to. After ringing the bell, she's going to return to the gym, and we can go and fight her. Now, she's already mentioned at this point that she's the flying type gym leader. So, it should probably not be a surprise that the gym, which you may have already seen it, but the gym is part of an airport. We learn Fly. Get back out of the menu. And then fly to Mistralton. Now the flying gym, not at all a difficult gym for us. Despite having a type disadvantage because we're fighting type, almost everything's a one-shot. So here's the airport. And then the gym here is this thing. Now I will say, we're gonna get shot out of a bunch of cannons here. There seem to be some problems with health and safety, I'd imagine. I can't imagine this being a very smart idea, but we're just gonna run with it. Most of the Pokemon here just die to one return. There's really only one Pokemon that won't, which is the final Pokemon that we have to face in the gym. At the end, we're going to face a Swanna, and that won't actually die in one hit. Now, the way we are going to deal with that is we're going to use Flame Charge on turn 1, because we're actually pretty close to killing it, since it's faster than us anyway, and then we're going to use Return on the second turn, which guarantees the kill and makes us faster, so it just kind of works out better that way. Had I hit spinners, especially in this last part, I would pretty much always learn Flamethrower before that Pokemon, so that actually makes that fight a little bit more annoying. Yeah, sorry River, no cat cam today. Gotta disappoint you there. There wasn't any room on this overlay, I think, to add a cat cam. Not to mention that the cats aren't there anyway, I think they're outside, so... Okay, Ducklet, easy one-shot with Return, and then Sigilyph has... Sigilyph we need to use Heat Crash for. The Unfazants, by the way, the Tranquils and Unfazants, they do all have Detect, which can just waste some time. So we're really hoping for that not to become an issue. Gotta take the cannon from the bottom part there. That's definitely something that messed me up when I started learning this. Now this pilot only has one Pokemon, it's just the Unfazant here. We're gonna just use Heat Crash, move on. We're gonna find Skyla at the end, and there is actually one thing that I'm gonna be paying attention to on the next fight. For Skyla, I need to have at least 135 HP. That makes it just makes the fight a lot safer. The Swoobat that's coming up is going to be faster than me, so there's a chance that it'll use Air Slash, which will actually get my health under that 135, which would mean I need to heal before Skyla. However, there's also a chance that he does something like Calm Mind, in which case nothing happens and we can just move on. So this is always a bit of a fight to keep an eye on. Or Amnesia, not Calm Mind. They used Amnesia, and that's actually the better option, because that saves me from having to go into my menu to heal. A couple more cannons that we need to get shot out of. And again, I'd say this looks like a very bad idea. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't think that this is smart. But we're gonna get shot out of them anyway. And the last one, well, it overshot a little bit, so we hit our head on the wall there. That looks like it would hurt a lot. So here we go. Sixth gym leader of the game, Skyla. She leads up with a Woobat, and the same will kind of go as with the last one. If Woobat does not attack, if it goes for amnesia, we're guaranteed to win this fight. Like at this point, there's really nothing that could happen. The Woobat could have also used either Acrobatics, which can do up to 72 damage, or Heart Stamp, which can do up to 42. Thank you. So here, Swanna is faster. See, this is what I mean. Had Woobat attacked, that could have been a really big issue here. Air Slash just has a high crit rate, so that could have actually been dangerous. Luckily, it didn't happen, so we are good to go here. We're going to learn Flamethrower, get rid of Flame Charge. We did get low enough that I'm going to have to heal, but that's not a big deal. Also, can I just say I'm only 35 seconds behind PB right now. This is actually turning out to be a pretty good run. The guy you just saw walk behind me, that's my brother. By the way, so don't... Yeah, no, he just went for grocery shopping and picked up a package for me along the way. Which I think might be Pokemon Typing Adventure, because I'm going to be learning that one soon as part of learning every single Pokemon game in existence. Which, now that I'm on the topic, if you guys like Pokemon runs, I run just about all of them. And when I say just about all, I mean literally just about all. There's only a handful that I still need to learn. And I'm going to be learning those in the next few months. Because this summer we actually have a race of every single Pokemon game back-to-back. There's 62 games on the list. And I'm planning on participating again this year, so that should be something. So if you like seeing Pokemon speedrunning, you know, be sure to head over to my channel at some point and drop a squeaky little follow. That would always be greatly appreciated. Okay, Max Repel, Hyper Potion. Pokemon Dash is on my list of games to learn still. I've got it ready to go, basically. What's my favorite Pokemon game to speedrun? Probably Pokemon Channel. For main series, Pokemon Crystal. Well, Gold, actually. But Gold, Silver, Gold and Crystal are almost the same. Okay, so we go through the grass there, and well, you know what I say about rival battles, right? I think I don't have to repeat that anymore at this point. So here we go. Rival battle number, I think 14, something like that. Rival battle number a lot. Now, because we just healed to full, this fight is essentially it's essentially impossible to lose this. At low health, it's definitely possible, but at high health, it just doesn't happen. Even a crit Air Slash, which can do up to 108 damage, shouldn't get me in a dangerous spot. Because the Liepard, which can actually hit me because Liepard is, we're at the same speed, it's a speed tie. And it has Fake Out, but Fake Out only does up to 13, and then its next strongest move, Assurance, only does up to like 12 or something. It's not surprising that it would go for Fake Out, that's pretty normal. Hone Claw, second turn, that's fine. There is no run for my Pokemon ranch. Nobody's ever done that. Yeah, I should clarify every Pokemon game that somebody has run at some point in time. That's basically all the games on that list. I think there's like 2 games missing or something, which, I mean, considering how big the series is, that says quite a lot. So we see Alder again. Now, one thing I haven't actually mentioned, but the date that we use is not just relevant for just the RNG manip. I actually, the manipulation that I have has to always be run sometime in the winter. And the reason for that actually is about to come up. So normally we would just, it wouldn't really matter, but there is actually one area that becomes significantly faster if you enter it in specifically the winter. Which is going to, I'll show you in a moment why it's such a big deal. The way that seasons work in this game is it loops every month, basically. So it's January is spring, then February is summer, March is autumn, and then April is winter, and it loops every 4 months. So we need for this run specifically for it to be either April, August, or December. Only those 3 months work. And for my specific manipulation, I ended up with a date on April 16th. There are unfortunately also some dates in those months that also don't work because of hail effects and whatnot, which would slow things down a little bit. They're not as big a deal, but in case anybody's curious, no, the 20th of April doesn't work. I checked. That day has hail, so actually not a great day to go for. But yeah, you can see here I can pretty much skip this entire dungeon and pick up an extra rare candy because there is snow there. It does mean that some parts aren't going to be available, but I don't care. I'm just trying to rush through the game. Well, official Pokemon titles only, Pokemaster. Like, the list of games is already long enough. Like I said, we're doing 62 games in that race. So that means that everybody participating needs to know the speedrun of 62 different games already, which is kind of insane. That's always a lot of fun, though. Anyway, we get to Icarus City, and Cedric tells us a little bit about the Dragon Spiral Tower. We'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, we're going to be picking up a TM here in the Pokemon Center. See, this old lady here, she's going to give us the TM for Brick Break, which we're actually going to use later on. It's one of our main moves that we're going to be using pretty much up until the last fight in the game. Before we actually head into the gym, though, we're going to be picking up this rare candy. And with that, we are good to go. Now, the Ice Gym is probably one of the easiest gyms in the game, but there is one kind of an annoying thing we need to account for. A lot of Pokemon here, specifically every Cupchew, has the move Endure. And if they use Endure on turn 1, that means they'll survive with exactly 1 HP and that wastes a turn. So we're kind of just hoping that they don't do that and that we're going to just one-hit knock out everything. There is, however, and this is, okay, so this is, for example, a really bad start. There is, however, actually a glitch in this run that we're going to be using in a moment. Black and White 1 is not a glitchless run. The glitch is incredibly insignificant and it saves, I think, 45 seconds or something. It saves almost nothing, but it's kind of cool, and if you blink it, you miss it, so I'll show that off later on, though. That's towards the end of this gym. First and foremost, though, we're gonna go through these spinning tiles to make our way through these ice sliding puzzles. Now, the second trainer here, this one actually doesn't die to return. So we're gonna have to use Rock Smash instead. Hold on. Oscar, hey. My cat was somewhere where he wasn't allowed to be. Yeah, normally I'd have a secondary camera up on my stream with the cat, assuming that he's in the chair where he usually is. But, you know, for the ESA stream, that isn't exactly an option. Okay, next trainer. This one just has a cup chew. Pretty easy fight here. So far, we've gotten Endure once. So, not too bad. Okay, this one's not a very dangerous fight or anything, but there is another cup chew here. This is the last cup chew that we need to fight. After this, because the next trainer only has Vanillish, and the gym leader has a bear tick instead. For this game, it hardly matters what you use. I don't know that there is a difference between regular DS and 3DS for this. If there is a difference, it's incredibly small. Okay, so this is the last trainer we need to fight. There is actually one more required trainer in this game, but after this trainer is that glitch that I mentioned. And we're going to use that glitch to skip one trainer fight. Not a very big skip, but it's kind of cool that we can do that. Okay, so on my left here, we're gonna do the puzzle as normal, or at least that's what it's gonna look like, but then this rock doesn't actually have any collision, so we can just move through it. Now before we're actually gonna fight him though, we're gonna use another max repel. That's just because we happen to be in the menu right now. And then I'm gonna teach Brick Break. We're gonna get rid of Heat Crash. And this is almost our final moveset for the game. We are going to get one more new move, but we won't be getting that until the Elite Four. So this is Bryson. Bryson is, I mean, it's an ice type gym leader. We have a firefighting mon. All of our moves are super effective, except return, which is normal. And for the other two, we're just going to use Brick Break. Also, while the batch animation plays, I'm actually going to quickly fill up the cat's food bowl. That's why he's been asking for attention like that, it seems. I think he's just hungry. Yeah, give me one moment, kitty cat, and then I'll refill your food. There's a few seconds animation that plays anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Gotta remember though, there's one text box here. I forgot about that last time.
Well, while Crrool is taking care of his cats, I'll let you all know that we do have the speedrunstore.com out there that has all kinds of comfy ESA shirts. I love how soft my collection of ESA clothing is. I've got the hoodie, I've got a couple t-shirts, and you can get your own merch from speedrunstore.com. Go and check it out now. Put an order in, and you can show off to your friends.
Yeah, I can confirm. I only have a t-shirt, but can confirm.
Oh, get your hands on that hoodie. It is amazing.
The thing is, I have like 5 BSG hoodies, so I think I'm good on the hoodie department. So yeah, after we leave the gym here, the Shadow Triad shows up again. And there's some... and that means that because of that, we know that there's Team Plasma is causing some trouble again. We're going to go into the Dragon Spiral Tower. Yeah, Linton, I have like 5 BSG hoodies. 2 of which have my name on it. You know, since I'm involved in the organization of that. For which, by the way, there's still BSG Online happening on the ESA channel in a few weeks, I think, for which submissions are still open as well. So, you know, hint, hint, wink, wink, I guess? The Dragon Spiral Tower is, it's not really a difficult place. This is that place that I mentioned earlier, where for most of the trainers in this game, the notes are just like, hey, don't even worry about what move you use, everything kills. We're gonna, generally speaking, use Flamethrower and Return the most, because that saves me on super effective text boxes. But overall, it just doesn't really matter. There's only one Pokemon where it does matter, and I need to make sure that I have either one Return or one Flamethrower left for it, which is a Trubbish coming up towards the end. It's on like the before last trainer or something. Yeah, here we can see Bryson and Cheren facing off against a bunch of these. And we're just gonna start fighting things. PowerPoint management at this point doesn't matter because at the end of the tower there's a max elixir. So we're gonna get our PowerPoints restored there anyway. How many returns do I have? 1, perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna Flamethrower everything to save on super effective text boxes, and I'm gonna leave that 1 return for the Trubbish later on. That way I know I have it. Or that way I know I don't have to worry about keeping an eye on how many PowerPoints I have. So yeah, feel free to keep chatting about things. We're going to beat up a lot of these right now. This is our big evil team sequence, at least the biggest one in the game.
Well, just a reminder that, you know, if you're tuned in, you are watching ESA Together. You know, ESA Together is a week-long online marathon that's going to feature speedrunners and score attackers from all around the world. And we invite everybody, be it ESA regulars or first-timers, to showcase their best for you. ESA Together is supporting ESA and our other affiliated events' increased costs this year connected with the coronavirus outbreak. So by donating to ESA Together, you're going to be supporting not only the future of ESA, but all of our affiliated events. And all those donations are going to go directly towards supporting the running of all those future events for you to enjoy.
Just like before, by the way, all of the Lipards have fake out, so it is still random whether we get hit by that or not. Especially with this fight, that kind of comes into play since this grunt has 2 Lipards. That said though, they're not too big an issue. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning, and I always find that kind of funny how it works out, but you'll see, like, we're currently kind of in the biggest evil team sequence. Not the last one, but we are in the biggest of the, like, 4 or 5 that we have over the course of the game. And one thing that I've always noticed with Pokemon main series, at least, is that you'll almost always see these big evil team sequences between Gym 7 and 8. That goes for Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. I think, yeah, Gen 6 as well. Gen 7 and 8, it's a bit different, but they kept that sequence going for quite a while, which I always find that kind of funny. And even in Gen 7, it's between the last 2 trials as well, so even there that pattern kind of holds. Yeah, this is the trainer with the most Pokemon in this tower, so we're already done with the longest fight here. At this point, there's only 4 trainers left, and then we're gonna start seeing the first, or we're gonna get the first instance where we're gonna see a legendary Pokemon. But first, we have to make our way through this spiraling part. I mean, it's not called Dragon Spiral Tower for no reason, I guess. Now, if I didn't make any mistakes in my movement, I'll have exactly enough steps with my repels. We'll see if it works out that way, but that is kind of a thing to keep an eye on. If I make a mistake, usually I'd only be like 2 or 3 steps off, but we should have exactly enough steps to not have to refresh our repel. Yeah, here at the before last floor, we get surrounded by these 4 Team Plasma grunts, and they're all going to fight us one by one. The before last one has that Trubbish that I mentioned. Everything else, we just keep using Flamethrower, and we'll one-shot everything. And if we run out of Flamethrower, I can just use either Brick Break or Rock Smash. It all works. Well, Sakuras, I will say it's not, again, with this one as well, it's not the last Evil Team encounter. Because we're actually still going to get one later on, towards the end of the run. But I've always found it kind of interesting how you'll almost always see it between, at least the biggest one, between Gym 7 and 8. So this one just has the Krokorok. How many power points do I have left on Flamethrower anyway? 4. Oh, nice. I don't even have to switch to return. I have exactly enough. That works. So yeah, this is the trainer with that Trubbish. All good though. We have plenty of power points left to still be able to one-shot it. In the second half of this Evil Team sequence, because this is still the first half, by the way, but in the second half we will actually have to pay a little bit more attention to the moves we use, just because not everything will always one-shot. Okay, level 50 here, we're going to get the chance to learn Head Smash. We're not going to learn it. Not a useful move for us. And then we have one Grunt left who has a Watchog. After which, we're going to go to the top of the tower, where, for a change, we're not going to get a rival battle. We're going to see N, but we're not going to get a rival battle for once. There we go. That's the Watchog down. And with that, we can now... They're now just all going to get out of the way. We're way too strong for them. Perfect. Yeah, you can see there. I mean, I made a misstep at the very end, but I don't even think the top floor there has encounters. And now we're going to get to the first proper cutscene, fully animated and everything, where N is going to get his Zekrom. There is this entire legend over the course of the game, something about like 2 princes, or like 1 kingdom and then 2 princes, and they kind of separated, and one got Zekrom, one got Reshiram. You know, kind of the yin and yang aspect. I don't know the details, honestly. I have admittedly never played Black 1 casually. I've only played Black 2 casually. So, even though I've gotten a fair few runs in, I don't know all of the details about the story. But yeah, that's the end of Dragon Spiral Tower, but we're not quite done here. our next stop is going to be the Relic Castle. As Alder comes towards us and tells us that, you know, Team Plasma is still causing quite a bit of problems. And he kind of just tells us that we need to go to Dragon Spiral. So we're gonna use Woobat. I'm gonna fly to Nimbasa. I'm gonna wait a little bit before we actually use the repel. We want to use it at the very last moment just to make sure that we have enough towards the end. There's gonna be a few spinners on the way that we need to pass. This is the first one. Okay. This one's pretty consistent in dodging, but I do always want to be a little bit careful there. Okay, we dodged all of them. Good. It's pretty easy to dodge these because most of them can go in can look in 4 directions, which just makes them a little bit easier to get around. And then we're going to get off the bike because in this deep sand our biking is actually slower. We're kind of just switching between bike and not bike. And then right here we find the Relic Castle. Now the Relic Castle has an interesting little quirk. There's these sand pits right here. I cannot run over these. If I try to run, we get sucked into the middle and we fall down. That's not something we want. In fact, even with the gaps here where I do want to fall down, I'm going to be walking towards the center of the sand pit because that's faster than getting sucked into it. Yeah, a couple more plasma grunts to talk about, so if there's anything else, Nordic. I know I'm putting this a lot on you by this point, but we're almost done with that.
Oh, no worries at all. I can always find something to talk about, and right now I'd like to actually talk about Twitch Prime. So, as you know, if you are a Amazon Prime member, you get 1 free subscription every month. And you can use that subscription to subscribe right here to ESA channel. If it's just sitting around waiting to be used, maybe consider using it to help support us at ESA so that we can continue to put on future marathons. Now, on top of that, if you're already subscribed, if you're already a member here, then why not go ahead and send us some cheers as well? Cheering is another fantastic way to help support ESA. And you can combine cheers and subs to level up those hype trains. So maybe let's try and get one of those hype trains started right now. Keep in mind that every sub is also going to give us another $2.50 from our big sponsor HyperX. And we've got another, 600 of those? 575 of those left to get in use. So again, get out there, get subscribed, get the hype going, and continue to support ESA Together.
This next grunt's actually kind of an important one. This next one will have a Garbodor, and this is actually one of the only times in this particular place where the Pokemon will not die to any other move but return. If we try to go for Flamethrower, it will not be a one-shot. That's not a big deal though. Like our return is really powerful at this point, so we're just going to use that. The way that return works, for those that don't know, by the way, is it becomes more powerful as your Pokemon gains more happiness. So by this point in the game, it is well over the maximum. Like like my happiness is already maxed out, which I believe gives me like 102 base power return, which is quite powerful, quite useful for us as well. it really makes this one of those moves that we actually used quite a lot in Pokemon speedrunning as a whole. Gen 2, for example, also use it. It's a nickname, Jeroen. It's we had a donation incentive for the Pokemon name and the trainer name. Nordic is actually the current host, so. Okay, so we have this Team Plasma Grunt. This is the first grunt in this part that has a Liepard. There's only 2 grunts here that have one. And so far we've been getting pretty lucky with not getting Fake Out. Let's see if we can keep that up. So far so good. There's only 1 Liepard left now, which is on the last trainer that we need to face. And there we go. So these Trobbishes, just like before, fighting type moves wouldn't work, which isn't that big a deal anyway, because I need to conserve those for later battles. Because there are still quite a number of big battles coming up, especially towards the next gym. The next gym is going to be a Dragon type gym, so I actually can't really use Flamethrower there. That won't do that much, so we'll be using Return and Brick Break quite often, especially Brick Break. And we've got the Scraggy here, that's just going to go down to Return. Now all of these moves are kind of routed in, just to make sure that we don't really have to worry about our power points towards the end. We're going to get a free heal just before we enter Victory Road, so I just need to make sure that I don't have to use a center before that point. Because having to use a center is just wastes too much time, it's slow. Okay, last trainer of the Relic Castle, and I believe the last Team Plasma Grunt in the game? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the last Team Plasma Grunt in the game. And again, no Fake Out. All in all, these grunts, they cooperated. So we're gonna walk to the center here. We're gonna, once we get to the bottom, we see both Alder and Getsis, and then Cheren just jumps out after us. Alder here is working on stopping Team Plasma. Now, I believe their plan was to steal the White Stone so that they can restore Reshiram, and they'd have both of the legendaries, and they would use that to help liberate Pokemon or something, I guess. But the Light Stone wasn't here. Okay, I am 3 seconds behind PB right now. This is... okay. I mean, I've had a few practice runs get close to PB. Yesterday we had one that was nearly 4 minutes ahead, and then I died towards the end and still ended up behind. But yeah, no, this could very well end up PBing still, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, we're gonna fly to Nakreen here. You see, that Lightstone, we've actually already seen it before. When we first visited the museum, there was this odd stone that we were talking about. Yeah, that is actually the Lightstone, and that is the item that we need in order to get Reshiram. That's the stone they had tried to recover, but failed to. So, they're gonna give it to me. I need to make sure that I say yes there, otherwise text boxes are gonna loop and it's slow. But we don't actually know how to wake up the dragon from the stone. So they suggest that we go to Oshawott City, which is a dragon-themed city. Now, the thing with Oshawott is the city actually looks very different depending on if you're playing black or white. In black, it's a very postmodern city, whereas in white, it's like a medieval Renaissance feel sort of place. I don't know how to properly explain the other version, like the white's version, but it's a very classical city, basically. And it's kind of fun how they basically completely remodeled the city depending on your version. Now, the other advantage of it having winter here is that this becomes an ice skating puzzle. But on the ice skating puzzle, I actually don't get hit by trainers, so that's kind of convenient. Now, it has legitimately been a while since our last rival battle. I mean, that was like before Bryson even. So how about another rival battle? It's our last fight right now against Bianca. This is the last time we're gonna actually fight her. This is also a fight where if I'm short on X attacks, this is the fight where I could kind of try and recover from that. We have enough though. I need 4 past this point. We have 5. So that looks good. So that makes this, honestly, having that makes this fight pretty free. The only thing that we don't one-shot here is the Masharna. That's a 2-shot with Flamethrower. But Psybeam at most can do 80. Superior outspeeds us, but Slam only does about 20, so realistically it shouldn't matter. And Masharna didn't even go for Psybeam, went for Lucky Chant, which just protects from critical hits. The interesting thing, by the way, about the Superior here, or just Superior in general, Snivy is actually very runnable for any percent as well. It's about 15 minutes slower on an any percent run, but surprisingly, with this game in particular, there are more starters that are at least somewhat runnable. And then Oshawott, I think, is another 15-ish minutes slower than that. I have my own timer box. I've got my splits open, so that when I say I was 3 seconds ahead, I mean I'm actually 3 seconds behind. I'm actually 3 seconds behind. My timer currently is at 2:44:15 because I did restart that one. The marathon the marathon estimate assumes that I mess up the manips once or twice, so that's all accounted for. So that's why there will be a little bit of a difference between the time that you guys see and the time that it actually is, because we had that one failed manip attempt. Yes, River. Shorter names are faster, so you know, if this ends up PBing, there will be some free time save just on account of the name, but luckily text goes pretty fast in this game, so it's not a huge deal. So we're just gonna skip past that route. Nothing really there for us. And we're gonna enter Oshawott City. So since we're playing black, like I said, it's gonna be a very postmodern kind of city. Essentially what's gonna happen is we're gonna first get a cutscene where Getzes is promoting the freedom of Pokemon and something like that. Also something about legendary dragons and I don't know. This guy's he's kinda crazy. Let's just say it how it is. He's kinda crazy. Yeah, so he's gonna get out again. lot of people are confused about his speech. And, well, it's whatever. We're just gonna ignore him. We also meet Iris and Drayden. Now, like I said before, in Pokemon White, Iris is the gym leader here. In Pokemon Black, Drayden actually is. Yes, Pokemaster, there is a YouTube. I imagine if you type !YouTube, or it might work. I don't know if that works, but I know the ESA channel has a YouTube. And if there's no command, there's probably a panel for it. Yeah, Iris is just kind of gonna guide us to the house over here. So these two are gonna tell us a bunch about the lore behind these two brothers and the two legendary dragons, and about how the true form of them is the fusion between the two, something like that. Honestly, if you wanna have the exact story, I recommend just playing the game yourself. I don't know the details of this part, honestly. But after that, Drayden, he's gonna move towards the gym. And so are we, because it's time for gym number 8. Now this is the longest gym in the game by quite a margin. We're gonna spend like a good 10 minutes in this gym probably. There's quite a number of trainers. A lot of these trainers only have 1 or 2 Pokemon, so most of the fights themselves are pretty quick, but it's just a lot of fights as a whole. Now, this gym actually, because this gym is actually in the sequel as well, in Black and White 2, and it's completely different there. If you enter this gym in Black and White 2, there's only 3 battles that you have to do, and you have to constantly pick between 2 options, so to speak. But here, there's a bunch of dragons that we need to... I don't know, kind of, like, we jump on, like, the tile just before the hand, and that'll make it go up and down, and that makes the head move around. Something like that. Yeah, you'll see the first example of that in just a second, as we get past the second trainer here. This is just one of those gyms where it's a lot of walking around. Yeah, this is what I mean. Now the hand goes up, which means the head here is going to move, and that's going to allow us to pass it into a different part. Oh, that... Okay, that's a bit of a dumb mistake. I have to redo that real quick. I didn't mean to do that. I was meant to go up. So that's a 15-second or so time loss. Oopsie. Yeah, attempt number 2. I realized it just after I jumped down. It's kind of dumb. I should have realized that way sooner, but whatever. Yeah, here's the second trainer, the first one with 2 Pokemon. Now, most of these Pokemon aren't much of a threat. The only thing we really have to pay attention to is Druddigon. There's a few trainers that have a Druddigon, and Druddigon has the Rough Skin ability, which means that if we do a physical hit, or a damage, or a move that gets in contact, Rough Skin will do about 25 hit points worth of damage to me. So that's gonna kind of be a thing. Like, I need to keep an eye on my health because of little things like that. Anyway, we now get to the other side here. So with that, we now have passage and we can move on. Still a lot more trainers though, because as we walk down here, we'll see the next one. This one just has 1 fracture, so it's a pretty easy fight. The biggest threat, in a sense, is the next one, Veteran Hugo, He has a Drudigan that I cannot actually one-shot, even with return. So it gets a chance to attack. Now the Rough Skin will do 25 damage. We already know that. And then return... then its most powerful move, Dragon Claw, can do up to about 54. If it... Depending on if it does it or not, I may have to heal after the fight. But time will tell. Yeah, this is the one where I had to go down. And that's immediately where we meet Veteran Hugo. Now, to make sure that I don't take the Rough Skin damage twice, we're actually going to use Flamethrower on the first turn. Because that's our only non-contact move. So we don't actually take damage from that. And then return will be enough to kill it from there. So I used Dragon Claw, we're going to use return here. I'm not going to need to heal yet, but I will need to heal after the next trainer. Because after the next trainer, I want to have at least 76 HP. And we're going to take one more set of Rough Skin damage. We're just gonna go around here. Okay, 3 more trainers in the gym, all with multiple Pokemon. The second one and the last, like the gym leader itself can actually do some serious damage, but this one's not much of a threat. Everything here is a one-shot, even the Drudigan. So we just have to deal with the Rough Skin damage. Now the next trainer also has a Drudigan, which means that we're going to take 25 damage for Rough Skin regardless. The reason that I have to heal either way is not just that, because even at 26 HP I still would have. But the Drudigan is actually... This time we can one-shot it, but it's a damage range. A pretty favorable damage range, but definitely not favorable enough that I would risk anything on it. It's 11 and 16 to kill. Before we actually get to that fight, we jump on this hand and that actually blocks our path. This is probably the dumbest one. Like, that arm could have just been down and it would have worked out. But instead now I have to cycle back. Which is kind of annoying. Yeah, that gets us the path back here. And that allows us to move to the left to Ace Trainer Dara. We shouldn't need to heal any more past this point, at least for the gym leader. For the gym leader, I want to have at least 69 HP. Anything above that is fine. For the Dino, not a problem. Then we're going to get to the Drudigan. So like I said, this Drudigan is a damage range. It's 11 and 16 for Brick Break to kill. If it doesn't kill, he's going to get an attack off. And that's unlucky. Okay, one more trainer left. Just gonna go around here. So this is the last regular trainer. 2 fractures, both die to Brick Break. So, pretty easy. And then we're done with gym number 8. And after this, it's time for us to move to Victory Road and the Elite Four. Now, I will say in advance, the Elite Four in this game is quite tricky. There are several occasions where I either have my Pokemon die or I'm going to survive at like 2 HP. But I will say right now, everything in the Elite Four pretty much is calculated, and there's very few things that can go wrong. That's not to say that nothing can go wrong, but there are, outside of some unexpected critical hits, nothing should really be an issue. Okay, time for Drayden. So Drayden is not a particularly dangerous fight. All in all, we're going to use an X attack at the start, because his Pokemon are high level enough that I do need that in order to one-shot things. But then past that, it shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, so 2 returns for the other 2. We've already hit level 55, so we're not going to be learning Roar here. You know, had I not made that mistake, I might have actually been ahead of PB right now. I'm not going to be. I'm going to lose a little bit of time, but like I said, it's kind of funny that this far into a run, PB is still possible. Like, I'm 12 seconds behind right now. Which, 3 hours into a run, that's pretty good. Yeah, we got ourselves the 8 badge, and with that it is time for us to move towards Victory Road. Now, I'm going to make a safety save before one of the spinners, just before Victory Road, because that spinner has a Jellicent, and if we get hit by the Jellicent, we just die. Yeah, the run's actually turning surprisingly well, Sankey. We actually had 2 deaths on Lenora, so I lost like 2 to 3 minutes on Lenora. I just made a movement mistake in the gym, is all. Lost like 20 seconds. But yeah, like, we died twice to Lenora, so to still be, like, within 15 seconds of PB, essentially, is quite interesting.
You know, it just speaks to the caliber of runner that you are, Crrool. You know, when you run these games, like a lot of our community members do, you get really, really good at finding the patterns and figuring out exactly what it is that's going on. And if you like what you're seeing here on ESA, you want to get more involved in our community, come on over to the ESA Discord. We're at discord.gg/ESA Marathon, and we've got a really friendly, welcoming community that has a ton of fun before, during, and after each and every one of our events. You can also get up-to-date information from our Twitter at twitter.com/ESA Marathon. And if you're tuning in and you find that you've missed out on a run, you can always check out the VODs available for all of our runs, both on Twitch and our YouTube channel.
So, how about them rival battles, right? This is kind of, like I said, this was going to be a recurring theme this game. So here is our last rival battle against Cheren. Not the last rival battle of the game, mind you, but it is the last one for Cheren specifically. And honestly, this is not a very difficult one. The Unfazant can be a little bit annoying because of Detect, but everything he has dies to 1 hit. There was a chance that he could actually hurt me, because an Air Slash critical hit on Unfazant after using the X attack, that would have actually been able to kill me. But he would have needed to use Air Slash, which is a 1 in 4, and then critical hit me, which is a 1 in 4. So the chances weren't super big. Return. He is returned twice on the last 2, and then I'm going to make one of my last safety saves, specifically because of the yeah, the trainer coming up, the spinner coming up, I should say. But Cheren here heals all of our Pokemon, and that's really convenient because it means that unless something bad happens in Victory Road, I don't actually have to use the center at the Pokemon League. Okay, so this spinner right here is one of the most dangerous trainers in the game. If we were to hit her, I have no way of winning it. That's why I'm gonna save here, because it's actually very important that we dodge her. The other one isn't as bad, but it's still pretty bad. But we passed both of them. So now for us, it's time to move on to probably the most excessive badge check in all of Pokemon. There's a lot of... So for every badge, we have one of these gates that we have to go through. And each of the areas is kind of themed towards something as well. You'll see that soon enough. Like the first few are pretty basic, but then here we've got this bug displayed on the ground. The electric. So this is the part from the electric gym, so we're gonna have this like electric thingy displayed. Another very basic one here because, you know, ground type gym, so it's just a bunch of rocks. This is probably the coolest one, in my opinion. After the flying type gym, where you just hover over the gap like that. Then it's time for the most annoying one, the ice one, because that just gives us another ice sliding puzzle, because we all love ice sliding puzzles. I always mess that up at least a little bit. And with that, we've gained entry to Victory Road. Now, Victory Road only has one required trainer, but there are a lot of optionals that we can hit. So I'm actually going to focus a little bit on the movement. But first, this trainer. Chantal here, you really start to see the levels kind of creep up here. That's one thing. Slowly but steadily, they're getting closer. We still got a pretty significant lead. But because of the opponents actually being relatively fast, they will outspeed me every time. And they can do some pretty bad things. Tailwind on the first one there, that's probably the best thing he can do. Spark here is usually fine. It kind of sucks that I got paralyzed because it means I have to heal that, but it's not a big deal. I'm just going to heal that off next time I have to repel. Now, the way that this particular Victory Road works is we have to slide down these cliffs here and there. Our last para heal. I had one left. I'm going to just use a Hyper Potion. I need it to be in the menu anyway, because this is where we're going to use our rare candies. After the first Elite Four member, I need to be level 62, and this gets us just enough experience that we will. Oh, it's this way. Another spinner here, very important we dodge this one. I'll get off my bike and take it slow there if I need to, honestly. I definitely don't want to fight that spinner. So this one's a bit easier to dodge. I can just chase after him like that. That works. A bit further up. This guy isn't hard to dodge, but I am going to take my time with that because I just really want to make sure I don't hit any optionals. Okay, we're going to go back, use one more repel. So you can see I have a fair few left, so we have some spares if I needed to. But all in all, didn't need to this time around. And with that, we've made it to the Pokemon League. Now the fun thing that they kind of added in Gen 5 is I can actually choose in which order I want to fight the Pokemon League. And that helps us quite a lot because the first one would actually be by far the worst one for us. Because the first one's actually Chantal, and we're going to do her last. Instead, we're going to do the second one first, and then do them in order from there. The reason we want to do Grimsley first is Grimsley is the Dark type Elite Four member, and Dark type is really, really easy for us with us being Fighting type. So yeah, here we go. Time for Grimsley of the Elite Four. Had I hit some spinners earlier, and had I been a level higher, I would have been able to save a turn on this fight. It's pretty rare for me to be able to, because you actually need to hit like 2 or 3 spinners. The reason for that is that the Pokemon after this, the Liepard, is going to be faster than me, but if I had been 1 level higher, I would have been faster than it. So we're just going to use an X speed. We have an extra for that. He uses Fake Out anyway. Like I said, after this fight, I need to be level 62 because I need Flare Blitz, and you'll see that as we kill this Bisharp, we get just barely enough experience to make that. We're going to get rid of Return, and we're going to be teaching Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz is a really powerful physical move. The downside of Flare Blitz is that it'll cause recoil damage. But that isn't necessarily bad, because I can use that to manipulate being in Blaze, which boosts the power of Fire-type moves. Also, I'm currently 7 seconds ahead of PB. So, yeah, that's a thing. Okay, fight number 2. This fight, generally speaking, isn't a very difficult one. I need to have at least 119 HP going into it, but we're still nearly full health. Depending on the damage ranges that we got from Fake Out, usually we survive this fight with, well, not a lot. You'll see. Yo, Suave, thank you. It is not uncommon for me to survive this fight with 1 HP left, by the way, so... It is okay if we hit 0 HP on Gothitelle. The HP on this fight is completely calculated to working out, even if we got a really high roll. It's a bit slower if we got a really high roll, because it will mean that we're going to be losing some time on the next sequence, but it'll work out either way. I think we're gonna... Okay, when I said I was gonna possibly survive with 1 HP, yeah, we're gonna survive with 1 HP. I'm just gonna claim that now. We're gonna survive with 1 HP. This is how calculated these fights tend to be. Okay, on to Elite Four member number 3. We are going to have to menu a little bit before we actually start this fight. It's very important for me to get out of this fight while in Blaze, and preferably with more than 55 HP left.
I gotta say, Crrool, that was super impressive. Do we have time for a quick shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, well, something else that's going to be super impressive is going to be the Rise and Shine run that's coming up next, run by ATN. Something to keep in mind, guys. We have a incentive that is pending for that game. Right now, it's only at $9 out of the $100 that we need to have ATN run that game at 100% rather than any percent. So get those donations in, and let's make that happen.
Okay, time for what is probably the scariest fight in the Elite Four, because it's the only one that has some big randomness to it. It's time for Marshal. The thing with Marshal is, in general, this fight is completely calculated, just like the previous ones. But in order for things to work out, I need the second Pokemon to actually attack me, which is fine because it has Sturdy, so it wouldn't die in one hit anyway. The thing is, he can crit me, and that would actually kind of throw off our plan. He didn't crit me, that's good. Okay, so we're going to use Flare Blitz on this. We're going to take 56 recoil damage. The only thing that kind of matters at this point is I need to be in Blaze. That's one, which we are, so we need to be under a third HP, and we need to be above 55 HP. And, well, as you can see, we are under a third and above 55, so it works out exactly. We're still ahead of PB, by the way, at this point, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. We've actually increased the lead a little bit. I'm now 40 seconds ahead of PB. With 3 battles left in the game. But this fight is pretty... like, all of the remaining 3 fights can potentially be scary, so... Let's not count it before we're there. Anyway, this is Chantal, the last of the Elite Four members. This is one of the fights where it's so important that we have that Blaze. None of her Pokemon die unless I'm in Blaze. So for the first Poke 2, we're going to use Flamethrower. Blaze Flamethrower still kills. But her third Pokemon is a Jellicent, and earlier on I already mentioned that there was a spinner with a Jellicent that we could not defeat. The reason is Jellicent is Ghost and Water, so all of my moves are either they don't do anything or they're not very effective. If we're both in Blaze, with our most powerful move, we actually just kill it. That was a crit. We didn't need the crit. We survived that at basically nothing. We get the Chandelure, kind of the same problem, except this one can't do as much to us. We're going to use Flare Blitz again. That is going to defeat my Emboar, but I have 2 other Pokemon still alive, therefore I've won the fight, and that's the last Elite Four member. That was a really good fight, actually. That Elite Four in general went exactly as it should have. So now we can take the statue down here, and that gets us to where the champion is. I'm not going to be reviving Emboar. I have some max revives, but we're going to get a default heal from the game before our next battle. So we don't really have to worry about that. As we enter the room with the champion, it turns out N has actually already defeated him. Battle is over, so we're not going to be fighting the champion at all. Remember how I said there was going to be one more Team Plasma sequence? Yeah, that's going to happen here. See, yeah, this entire castle is basically going to rise from the ground here. And, yeah, stuff happens. You'll see. While this cutscene plays, Nordic, if you have any bits left? I mean, we're getting close to the end, but...
No, absolutely. I'd just like to talk about our prizes. You know, we have a number of amazing pieces of gear that were donated to us by HyperX for this marathon. They are our sponsor this time around. We have a couple headsets, we have a mouse, we have a mouse pad, a whole bunch of RGB going on. And those are all available for you to check out at at prizes or donations.esamarathon.com. You can check those out, and you can get in with a minimum donation of $15, ranging up to a donation of $25.
Okay, so after the castle has appeared, Cheren shows up. He also made it this far, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna need to stop N first because he's kind of destroyed the room of the champion here. So we're gonna go into the castle, and unfortunately for us, there's gonna be a bit of a surprise there. See, the 6 other sages, all of the sages except Getsis, are here ready to stop us. So yeah, that's, I mean, 6-on-1 versus sages who are actually decently powerful is going to be a bit of an issue. Lucky for us, that's, well, we have Clay showing up, the Driftfield City gym leader, and then all of the other gym leaders as well. There's I think it's an event-only cutscene where you actually see that the first gym leader, like Cress and the other 2, they're at this point dealing with the Shadow, or they got stopped by the Shadow Triad, and they're kind of dealing with them. We're gonna make our way through the castle. On the way, we're gonna meet some of the folk from the Shadow Triad who are gonna try to get us into those rooms, I guess. I don't know exactly what their plan is, but it doesn't matter. And we're just gonna quickly make our way up to where N is. So we've got 2 more battles left at this point. We're going to be fighting N in a moment. And then the final boss of this game is actually going to be Getsis. And I did say we were going to fight him at some point. Time will not be immediately after the Getsis fight, mind you, but about a little over a minute and a half after that. So just so you're aware, Flo, we have probably a little over 10 minutes left. I mean, at the end of the day, this is still PB pace, which I'm a little bit surprised by, especially after the 2 deaths to Lenora. Yeah, we see N there. Walk up a bit, and then it's cutscene time. Now, this, we're basically going to get 2 cutscenes. First, we're going to get a cutscene of Zekrom showing up, and then we're going to get a cutscene about where we trigger the Lightstone. I guess what I am going to do one last time for this run at least, I've mentioned this a few times, but if you guys like seeing Pokemon speedrunning, a few things in general. First off, there's, if you want to try a Pokemon speedrun at some point, be sure to check out the resources on speedrun.com. I think the Discord is linked there as well. Definitely worth checking out. There's a lot of cool Pokemon speedruns you can do, honestly. It's a wide variety of games. And if you like seeing more runs in general, be sure to also head over to my channel, drop a squeaky little follow. I run I pretty much run Pokemon like 4 days a week, and I run pretty much all of them. So, you know, if you like seeing them, I'd greatly appreciate that if you were to check out my channel as well. Yeah, here are the Lightstone triggers. That's going to get Reshiram to show up. Now, it is actually required for me to catch the Reshiram. There is not really any way around that for me. Lucky for us, we have the Master Ball, so that's not really a big deal. That's fair, Radioactive. I appreciate it, though, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I find these sort of events always a great opportunity to find runners that I didn't know about yet, so... You know, it's worth mentioning, I suppose. Okay, so Reshiram now here, and yeah, here we go. I'm not sure if there's a way around not catching it. I've never tried, because like I said, I've never actually never played this game casually, so honestly I wouldn't even know. But, I mean, it's whatever, we're just gonna catch it anyway. But I do believe, at least I've heard, that it's impossible to not catch it. So we get Reshiram here. At this point, N is going to heal our party, which is why I didn't need to heal the Embor earlier. And we can now actually get into the fight. So yesterday I actually had a PB run going, and we died on this fight. So it's definitely not over yet. Now the idea here is pretty straightforward. I actually want Reshiram to defeat the Zekrom. Usually takes 2 hits. And then we break Caracosta's Sturdy, and from there the fight isn't too bad anymore. But yesterday, I've actually had that happen twice. I had the Zekrom crit Fusion Bolt on me, which is kind of an issue at that point. So this is about how you'd expect things to go. This is good. So the Caracosta shows up, we're going to use Slash, and that's literally just to break Sturdy. So that I can one-shot it from there. And bring out our Embor. See, at this point, Brick Break does actually, or can actually kill. Now the fight isn't quite done yet, because we still have to deal with Kling Klang. We're going to set up 1x attack, we're going to set up 1x speed here. Metal Sound, okay. Metal Sound again, that's fine. Metal Sound means that Hyper Beam can actually do like well over 100 damage, and with a crit would actually possibly kill me via range. But double Metal Sound is fine. No, I'm not looking at my DS because I'm actually looking at the feed on my PC screen. There's virtually no input delay, and it just looks better, honestly. When selecting moves, I'll be looking at my DS, but outside of that, I'm just looking at the capture feed on my monitor. That way I don't have to constantly look down, which I just feel like it looks better on stream. And it doesn't really matter, I'm used to playing on the capture feed. Okay, that is that done. I am 56 seconds ahead going into the last battle, and that is kind of scary. This won't be sub 330, but it's going to get really close to 330. Still haven't quite gotten my sub 330 goal though. Okay, we're not done, by the way. This next fight can still kill me. I have seen Getsis kill a run before. So... yeah, here we go. Getsis. World record is 3:15. So my PB is actually quite far off of record. Like, I know I can get like a 3:20-ish if I get a really, really good run, but I need everything in a run to go well for that. And I just don't attempt it often enough for that. Okay, here we go. Switch to Embor. Shadow Ball is fine. Okay, okay, we're not on -1, so I can use this. I was looking at the damage counts real quick. Flamethrower. So this is really low health right now, but I'm pretty sure nothing has priority. So I'm not going to waste a turn. At level 65, the Seismitoad is a guaranteed one-hit knockout. At level 64, it would have been a damage range, but at level 65, it's guaranteed. Okay. I'm going to use Brick Break here, and I'm actually going to switch to Rock Smash for the last one, because Rock Smash saves 1 frame on this last Pokemon. Okay, we got it. This is going to be a PB. "51 seconds ahead coming out. Time is coming up in about 1.5 minutes. Time will be as N says farewell. PB is a personal best. So this is actually the fastest run that I've done on this game. Despite having 2 deaths, too. Like, I died twice on Lenora, so that's actually kind of impressive. Guess the practice has been paying off. Unfortunately, not sub 330. I still want to go for that at some point, but I'll take it. My PB was a 3:31.10. I'll tell you in a moment what my new PB is. Should be about 10 seconds left, so get ready on time. Time. 3:30.19 after taking off the reset because we failed the manip. So that's a 51-second PB. Hope you guys enjoyed Pokemon Black. This was a lot of fun running. This will be it for me for ESA Together, but there is a ton of cool runs still coming, so be sure to check those out. Like I said, if you want to see more Pokemon runs, feel free to check out my channel at some point. If you would like to try a Pokemon run yourself at some point, be sure to check out the resources on speedrun.com, as well as the Pokemon Discord, which is linked there. Thank you everybody from ESA for allowing me to run Pokemon here. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, hope to see some of you guys at some point in my channel.
All right, Crrool. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on the PB on that run. Coming up next, we've got Rise and Shine with ATN. But for now, we're going to jump on over to an intermission. We'll be back in just a few minutes.